Chapter 401. Battle begins once more. Cho-ju was shocked, quickly concentrating his mind and pushing his soul, meditating resist this yellow light. This yellow light was supported by Fang Yuan's soul power, but he was young and had weaker foundations in his soul compared to this 100-year-old monster Cho-ju. To enslave Cho-ju, it would not be an easy task. But why would Fang Yuan not see this coming? He had his ways. Piok piok piok, bam bam bam. Stop, you dare to hit me. Kick my face again and I'll fight it out with you. FCKER, still kicking, I'll kill you. Stop hitting me. No, no more. Fang Yuan hit Cho-ju until he rolled around. Cho-ju could not use GU worms but Fang Yuan had his strength path GU worms available. Comparing strength, Cho-ju was not Fang Yuan's match. Quickly, Cho-ju's face was bruised, and his distraction meant that the yellow light fused into his body more deeply. Hold on, I have to block it. Once it fuses completely, I will be his slave, I will have no way out. Cho-ju squeezed into a ball as he allowed Fang Yuan to hit him, the strong sense of danger causing his hair to stand. Just a tiny bit of light left, near his forehead unable to fuse properly. Fang Yuan laughed coldly, suddenly saying, Zheng on you don't want revenge. Chen Ju betrayed you and is living well with Shang Yanfei. You, how did you know? Cho-ju was taken by surprise, the light quickly entering his body with this chance. Cho-ju's expression instantly changed, kneeling before Fang Yuan. This subordinate greets master. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. Success. This rank 5 slavery GU should be used on a rank 5 GU master to express its true worth. Till now, Mo Wutian and Xiao Meng had not arrived yet. Tai Mu Bai, Wu Gui, Kumo and Wu Lanshan were all killed by Fang Yuan. The final choice was Wang Xiao, the owner of Wu Mountain and killer ghost Dr. Cho-ju. But how could Wu Mountain compare to the Door of Life and Death? The Door of Life and Death was a forbidden land on the same level as the River of Time. Enslaving Cho-ju meant getting the clue to the Door of Life and Death. Moreover, Cho-ju is one of the 4 great doctors of southern border, his influence even spread to the righteous path, he was definitely better than Mo Wutian. The only flaw was that enslaving Cho-ju placed a great burden on Fang Yuan's soul, it was a problem for his upcoming immortal GU refinement. Cho-ju, back then did you use the poison vow GU with Dr. Su Shou, swearing to love each other for eternity, never abandoning each other? Fang Yuan looked at the killer ghost doctor, asking a question. There is indeed such a matter, but master, how did you know? Cho-ju kneeled on the ground and answered with a bruised face, feeling confused. HMPH, since you used the poison vow GU, do you know how Dr. Su Shou lifted its restrictions? Fang Yuan squinted his eyes. Poison vow GU is Mountain Pledge Sea Oath Gu's replacement, Chen Ju does not have the ability to negate it. She took a great risk for that gigolo Shang Yanfei, letting the poison vow kill her. Without a host, the poison vow's strength vanished. She then used healing techniques to resurrect herself, getting free of the poison vow. Cho-ju said this with a furious expression. He loved his senior sister greatly, but she betrayed him for a gigolo, even ignoring the dangers to her life and broke the poison vow. Fang Yuan heard this and was even more furious than him, lifting his leg and kicking Cho-ju away. You lying piece of shit. He remembered that in his previous life, Cho-ju said this. We took an oath in front of the blessed land's sea, to protect and stand by each other. But who could have thought her heart had already changed and actually broke the oath we took at that time and injured me, defecting with that thief. What oath? It was the Mother F*** King Poison Vow GU. This Cho-ju only spoke of less important matters, making important information unclear and concealing himself. If he had said Poison Vow GU back then, Fang Yuan reckons, he would not have been so unaware, not knowing that there was a person in Shang Clan City that could break free from Poison Vow GU, and thus he would have been careful of Bai Ningbing. But I should have guessed it. When Cho-ju talked about Shang Yanfei's appearance, he said that he was only slightly better looking. Saying such shameless words like it was natural, it was no surprise that he would not mention the GU. Fang Yuan looked at Cho-ju with contempt. Saying he loved her, but used the poison vow GU to restrict her, it showed how sinister and inferior his inner heart was. Such a person speaking with exaggerated truths was nothing strange. Fang Yuan was also suspicious of how Bai Ningbing broke free from the poison vow, even in his previous life Bai Ningbing did not say the reason. Now Fang Yuan knew, it was Dr. Su Shou who helped her break free of it. Alright, let the past be past. Cho-ju, go to King Shin Inheritance and get me undefeated 100 battles GU. Fang Yuan collected his thoughts and instructed. This subordinate will do all that he can. Cho-ju answered. Cho Ju was a healing GU master. He was not a refinement path master like Feng Tianyu. It was impossible to ask him to assist Fang Yuan in refining second aperture GU. But it was extremely easy for him to get the undefeated 100 battles GU. This is because the Blessed Land was weakening. Not long later, GU worms would be usable. Cho Ju just needed to charge ahead and he would obtain undefeated 100 battles GU. At this point, Fang Yuan's slaughter ended. He returned to the hall and continued refining GU. Compared to his previous life, he saved a lot of time after rebirth. Without the spring-autumn cicadas pressure it was much easier. Back then he only spent an hour a day, refining GU like a maniac, forcing his own limits. But now he could sleep 6 hours, slowly and steadily, refining GU with perfect sequence. Days continued to pass, and the Blessed Land was getting weaker. But the immortal essence expenditure was much less than last time. Fang Yuan had his experience from the last time. He took less detours this time, many steps were completed in one try, and the land spirit was extremely amazed. Three Kings' inheritance's weird state attracted everyone's attention. As time went on, Che clan, Zuo clan moved out, and Xiaomeng and Mo Wu Tian also appeared on Sancha Mountain. Finally, October 24th came again. Master, this subordinate has succeeded. Cho Ju kneeled on the ground, holding up a GU, handing it to Fang Yuan. This GU had a bland appearance, like a gray stone disc. It was none other than undefeated 100 battles GU. In his previous life, Feng Tianyu who Fang Yuan enslaved obtained kingship inheritance and had several hundred hairy men as followers. Now, Cho Ju was not a refinement path master. He broke through by force, only getting the undefeated 100 battles GU. Not a single hairy man followed him. But the hairy men were good at GU refinement. They could not battle. The hairy men's line of defense was as good as nothing. Fang Yuan did not mind it. After keeping undefeated 100 battles GU, Fang Yuan gave instructions before sending Cho Ju away. This process was done in the dark. Bai Ningbing did not learn of it. Fang Yuan returned to the Bronze Hall, and Bai Ningbing had already arrived. Behind her, there were 100,000 dog beasts, either resting or playing around. Fang Yuan smiled lightly. Bai Ningbing, hand your GU worms to the land spirit. What? Bai Ningbing was shocked. Aren't I commanding these dogs? The land spirit can use GU worms, its manipulation is better than yours. Fang Yuan explained. Land spirit appeared, slightly worried. Young man, I have to refine GU with you while controlling the immortal essence. If I have to expend effort controlling the dogs, I might not have the energy to do so. Fang Yuan snickered, his expression extremely confident. No worries, aren't you confident of my actions? Among the enemies I have my pawn pieces too. There are sufficient primeval stones here for you to manipulate the dogs. Is that so? Ba Gui hesitated, but thinking of Fang Yuan's secret identity, he agreed in the end. As for you Bai Ningbing, come with me. When I refine GU, I need a trustworthy person to defend me. Fang Yuan patted Bai Ningbing's shoulder, showing a kind and affectionate smile. Bai Ningbing snorted, her gaze shining secretly, as she said in a flat tone. Up to you, as long as you don't die. Whether the GU refinement succeeds or not is none of my business. Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing entered the hall together. Fang Yuan sat down as Bai Ningbing acted as his guardian. Fang Yuan shut his eyes, not doing anything. What are you waiting for? There is not much time. Bai Ningbing endured for a while before breaking the silence. Ningbing, stay calm, some things cannot be rushed. Fang Yuan smiled lightly, no anxiety at all as he spoke plainly. Bai Ningbing snorted, not speaking, her eyes squinting, thinking in her heart, what is this Fang Yuan thinking of? He took away my commanding rights, is he suspicious of me? No, he arranged for me to be in the hall, he still trusts me. I have to continue enduring. She thought of Tai Ruo Nan, feeling assured, she is blocked by the dog groups outside now, without my assistance, she can only break through by force. Damn it, he did not let me control the dogs. Thankfully, we have a backup plan. Tai Baichi is already secretly on Sancha Mountain. A moment later, Fang Yuan was calm and resting, not doing anything. This time, even the land spirit came to urge Fang Yuan to refine the GU. But Fang Yuan rejected him, not doing anything. Land spirit was anxious, its tone became slightly angry, but Fang Yuan used his rebirth identity to convince it. At this time, on Sancha Mountain Peak, blue, red light pillars were thin and weak, still shining on the mountain peak. King Quan Inheritance's yellow pillar was gone. The previous time, only red pillar was left, that was because Feng Tianyu took King Shin Inheritance. But this time, Cho Ju was not a refinement master, he could not break through the final round, thus 2 pillars were left. I wonder who took King Quan inheritance. 2 left, a small fry have no chance. But it is really strange, none of the rank 5 GU masters in the inheritance came out, did something happen? That's right, King Quan inheritance was inherited, but why did the others not come out? They are being retained inside the blessed land. This blessed land is facing destruction, soon the door will open, allowing us to enter and exit at will. A voice echoed. It is Lord Xiaomeng. Someone cheered, recognizing the person's identity. Chapter 402. All is within my control. Extreme Light GU. Heavens will GU. Empty Fist GU. Killer Move, Immemorial Light Fist. Xiaomeng stood at the peak of Sancha Mountain and used his killer move, causing the sky to dim. Light rays formed into a giant hill-sized fist and pierced through the blessed land's barrier. In an instant, the whole blessed land shook and an enormous hole formed, forming a passage connecting the inside to the outside. GU masters could enter through it without any obstructions. Charge, everything in the blessed land is ours. We need to hurry, or else we won't be able to seize anything. Unfortunately, the good stuff will be taken by those experts. It will be good if they leave just the soup for us. How nice would it be if I can luckily obtain King Shin and King Bao inheritance? It was a scene of chaos, countless people cheered while rushing into the blessed land, causing the pressure on the blessed to greatly increase. This is it, he, a bunch of idiots. Xiaomeng laughed coldly inwardly and stepped into the blessed land. The bronze hall also recovered from the tremors. Land spirit transmitted its voice to Fang Yuan. So you were waiting for this tremor to pass, it was really dangerous. If it was during the GU refinement process, it would have caused a huge disturbance and the consequences would be too terrible to imagine. You are truly a GU immortal who has been reborn. Fang Yuan smiled and transmitted a mental message. I am not only a GU immortal, but also your future master. Ba Gui, you need to know I am the best candidate for refining the immortal GU. The more you cooperate with me, the higher our chance of refining the immortal GU. Now, I remember there will be 2 more tremors, we need to avoid them as much as possible. Alright, let's begin the GU refinement. Fang Yuan threw the false second aperture GU into the cauldron. With the land spirit's cooperation, the bronze cauldron burned without any fire and the remaining bit of immortal essence started combusting. Immortal essence combusted and formed into a blue smoke that gracefully rose and covered the false second aperture GU. The false GU floated above the bronze cauldron and was turned into dazzling yellow light by this blue smoke. Fang Yuan concentrated his attention in harmonizing the blue smoke and yellow light. Previously, he refined the GU together with Feng Tianyu, now he was doing it alone and was thus slightly slower. Mo Wutian arrived at the edge of the dense fog by himself. His deep and mysterious purple eyes were enchanting and wild. Through his purple eyes, the fog seemed to be invisible and the sea of dog beasts showed themselves in his sight. Such a tight defensive formation, one man alone cannot charge through it, it seems I will need to borrow strength. He resolutely turned around and after a while found Hu Mei'er. Ah, young Master Wu Tian, you have actually advanced to rank 5. Hu Mei'er was shocked at Mo Wu Tian's cultivation progress. Mo Wu Tian talked of the immortal treasure and was able to immediately incite the desire in Hu Mei'er, who expressed her full support. However, when they were on their way, they found that the news about the immortal treasure had already spread. The two inquired about the details and learned the news was released by the killer ghost Dr. Cho Ju. Right now, he had already gathered a huge group of demonic GU masters and was heading towards the bronze hall. Mo Wutian furrowed his brows. Most of the demonic path GU masters had already gone with Cho Ju, and thus he was only able to gather a few people. Moreover, talking of influence, he was no match for Cho Ju. Mo Wutian was after all a newcomer while Cho Ju was an old veteran who had roamed around southern border for many years and was also one of the 4 great doctors. Most of the people would have favors to ask of him and he had some influence even in the righteous path. With no choice, Mo Wutian could only join with Cho Ju's group. With little brother Mo Wutian's help, these mere dog beasts are of no worry to us. Cho Ju welcomed Mo Wutian enthusiastically. Mo Wutian's brows furrowed deeply as he was used as a target board for Cho Ju. But never mind, if he endured this and helped out, they would be able to get to the main hall quicker. The huge crowd of demonic GU masters looked majestic, but they did not immediately charge towards the main hall but instead remained there. Sir Cho Ju, time doesn't wait for anyone, why are we not charging in towards the hall? Mo Wutian's brows had furrowed into a knot as he urged. Cho Ju said with a chuckle, more people means bigger strength, There are still many of our people that have not joined us. We need to absorb their strength to become even stronger. When we charge at that time, the pressure and danger each person faces will be much less. Mo Wutian urged again, but Cho Ju just chuckled and replied politely, not yielding the least bit. Mo Wutian started to feel anxious. He tried several more times, but Cho Ju remained firm. This old fool does not know the value of time. Mo Wutian repressed his anger and immediately contacted Hu Mei'er, Li Xian and others to agitate and incite everyone, making them even more impatient. Cho Ju had no way to deal with it since he could not directly go against everyone's intent, and could only lead a group of demonic GU masters to arrive at the edge of the fog. Mo Wutian observed for a while and again made the strategy to divide the crowd in 3 groups, and so on. Cho Ju, however, said it was not a good idea and that the fog was too dense to understand the actual situation. As a doctor, he had his morals as a healer, he could not bear to see everyone risking themselves and delivering themselves to death. Mo Wutian stomped his feet in anger and went to contact everyone and incite them with the allure of the immortal treasure. The demonic GU master's mood was agitated. Cho Ju also took advantage of the situation to push the responsibility for this matter to Mo Wutian and chose the people who would charge forward. However, he put a condition that only those who were willing could go forward and they could not be forced. The demonic crowd readily agreed and moved towards the 3 paths according to Mo Wutian's arrangement. Not good, someone is attacking from outside. When the refinement was going on, the land spirit's voice suddenly arrived. No need to worry, I have already anticipated this situation. Go take charge of the battle outside. I will stabilize the GU refinement for the moment and wait for you to rotate with me. Fang Yuan's expression was calm. The land spirit divided most of its concentration in commanding the dog beasts according to Fang Yuan's instructions and beat back the demonic crowd just like in previous life. Mo Wutian was unresigned and again formed the second assault group, but they still met with great losses and returned defeatedly. Cho Ju came forward at this moment. Everyone knows my rule, I take 1 life for every life I save. Right now, I will treat everyone first and hope you all can fulfill the promise later. Finished speaking, he started healing everyone. The demonic crowd was moved to tears. Cho Ju's influence increased rapidly and even more people left Mo Wutian to side with Cho Ju. Cho Ju patted Mo Wutian's shoulder and said in a kind voice, Brother Wutian, do you see it now? I advised you earlier to not take the risk. Now, so many of our comrades have lost their lives, it makes me so sad. His voice was quite loud, which caused Mo Wutian's eye to twitch and his anger reached an extreme level. This old sinister fool, if I was successful in breaking through these beasts, it would be his contribution, and now that I failed, he is avoiding all the responsibility. HMPH, I did underestimate these beasts. I had thought the formation was a weak one, and had never thought that there was a GU master controlling them from behind. Such a fast adaptation speed and method, this person is definitely someone with deep attainment in enslavement path. Damn it, this is really hateful. Mo Wutian gritted his teeth but could do nothing. In the previous life, he was able to use force and threat to make the demonic GU masters throw their lives. However, with rank 5 Cho Ju here now, he was not able to be so unrestrained. Let's wait. Righteous Path GU masters will also soon gather together and we can discuss it with them. After all, we only have 1 life. In case we charge through and let the Righteous Path get the benefits, it would be really bad. Cho Ju spoke his plan. Lord Killer Ghost Doctor is right. Lord Killer Ghost Doctor is indeed benevolent and cherishes the lives of his small characters. Doctors have their healer morals. Lord Killer Ghost Doctor is after all a senior of our demonic path. Mo Wutian gritted his teeth till they made cracking sounds. He really wished he could kill this old bastard. Like this, the time was delayed for a good while until the Righteous Path GU masters gathered under the lead of Xiao Meng. They charged through several times but also returned in defeat. Xiao Meng was getting anxious while thinking of the unopened King Bao inheritance and again used his killer move. Extreme Light GU, My Will GU, Bright Spear GU, Killer Move, My Glorious Spear. A 1.8 meters long and 0.6 meters thick spear of light landed on the mound. An intense explosion occurred with shockwaves blowing away everything. After the dazzling light dispersed, the fog that covered the mound also dispersed. The bronze hall and the majestic dog beasts were revealed before everyone's eyes in their full glory. Righteous and demonic crowd felt their hearts thumping in excitement but also turned cold at the scene. The immortal treasure was in front of them, but how could they charge through such an enormous dog beast formation? It could only be done if the righteous and demonic allied. Those with experience all thought of this. Xiao Meng looked at the demonic path's direction and Mo Wutian also glanced at the righteous path. It was clear they needed to lie, but they had to see which side would compromise first. Time passed by minutes and seconds. Cho Ju calmly watched the dog beasts while Xiao Mang's expression was solemn as he closed his eyes to recuperate. He was the young master of the Grand Xiao clan, a famous figure among the righteous path. How could he lower his head towards the demonic path first? If word spread later, his reputation would have a great hit. The second tremor has gone. Ba Gui, my secret chess piece has showed its use, and for a short time, they won't attack. Let's continue the refinement. Fang Yuan summoned the land spirit. While the righteous and demonic path were in a stalemate, Fang Yuan once again resumed the refinement. At this moment, the blue smoke and the yellow light had finally blended with each other. The blue smoke turned into beads of grass that floated in the air and started growing. The yellow light turned into flowers that fluttered and fell into the grass. Fang Yuan took out a dagger and cut his artery, bleeding out his own essence blood. Large amounts of essence blood infused into smoke. The blue smoke and yellow light immediately let out sizzling sounds and turned into a red cloud, like a wave of blood sea. The blood surged and turned into a sphere that floated in the air without spreading. After a round of evolution, the smoke sphere settled down and formed a field with abundant red wheat growing in it. Fang Yuan let out a breath of turbid air when he saw this. He had lost a lot of blood, which caused his face to pale. He immediately used a Gu to heal his wound. Wild grass grow wildly, the chi of blood like the sea. 300 years is spring, 500 years is autumn. He took out a lifespan Gu. This was a 300 years lifespan Gu which looked like roots with rough texture, like a snake that was coiled into a circle. Fang Yuan threw it into the smoke in blood field. The cloud of smoke immediate started raging like boiling water. In previous life, this strange change had nearly caused Fang Yuan to fail. Now, however, Fang Yuan was mentally prepared and easily controlled the situation. Under his control, the cloud of smoke gradually settled down. However, right at this time, the land spirit suddenly warned, "Not good, those Gu masters have started attacking together. There might not be time to refine Gu. No need to worry, everything is under my control." Fang Yuan coldly smiled and took out the second lifespan Gu. Chapter 403 By Ning Bing, have you acted enough? Chapter 403, By Ning Bing, have you acted enough? Kill, charge through, kill these goddamn dogs. Shouting, screaming, shrieking, cursing, dog barking, all these sounds merged into one, causing the ground to tremble. The attack had just begun for 10 minutes, but the mound was already overflowing with blood and corpses. Sir Cho Ju, we are slow, with this kind of pace, when will we ever get into the Bronze Hall? Mo Wutian urged. Cho Ju snickered. The dog groups are huge, is it that easy to get through? It is better that we are slow, the righteous path will take on more pressure for us, we can benefit from the chaos better. Cho Ju was already Fang Yuan's slave, his greatest wish is to continue stalling for time. Earlier, the righteous and demonic factions were at a stalemate, but this Mo Wutian had to ruin it by finding Xiao Meng to cooperate. Cho Ju could not stop him, he could only go with the flow. After starting the assault, he tried his best to slow them down. They had planned to attack from 2 directions, but because of Killer Ghost Doctor's manipulation, it caused the righteous faction to be further in the advancement, thus taking more hits. Meanwhile, the demonic path had less losses, but the assault's momentum was slowly, they were in danger of being surrounded. Cho Ju, what are you thinking of? You are too muddled, we have to charge with vigor, how can we move so slowly? You are old and confused, can't you see? Our group is already in deep trouble, once our movement stops, we will be surrounded, we will be in greater danger than the righteous path. Mo Wutian was stomping his feet in anger, shouting. Cho Ju stared with his eyes wide open, shouting back, Mo Wutian, you junior, why are you screaming for nothing, what do you know? Doing it your way, how many people did we lose earlier? Later when we compete with the righteous faction for the immortal treasure, they will be our enemy, we have to weaken them. Saying so, Cho Ju's tone changed, consoling softly, oh young man, it is not wise to charge ahead recklessly. Because of what happened earlier, the majority of the demonic Gu masters supported Cho Ju and objected to Mo Wutian. Mo Wutian's heart was furious, as he raised his head and screamed, old fool Cho Ju, we have different opinions. You all can wait here and die, I am going to get my immortal treasure. Saying so, he moved ahead and charged towards the Bronze Hall. Hu Mei'er, Li Xian and the others felt that Mo Wutian was right, they wanted to go ahead but their strength was insufficient, they could only go with the crowd. Youngsters are so rash, Cho Ju sighed, then laughed, look, after being psyched by me, he is taking on the pressure for us. We will steadily move ahead, using the road that he paved for us, perfect. Everyone laughed, praising Cho Ju's brilliance. Countless dogs formed into a wave, as thousands of GU masters resisted them. Blood flowed and broken limbs flew. All sorts of GU worms competed, like the dance of fire and ice, lightning exploded and soil was overturned, green vines grew endlessly. Yi Chong's body was covered in blue fish scales, black fins growing on his back with a light blue spiral wave around him. He seemed to have become a fearsome shark in the sea, charging ahead fearlessly. Yi Huo turned into the god of fire, charging ahead as he slaughtered. Everywhere he went, there was blazing flames and crying dogs. Yan Jun used the phantom path GU worm, turning into a hollow shadow as he evaded attacks again and again, safe and sound. Li Xian used his rank 5 GU and concealed his body while people were not noticing. Kong Ritian turning into a rain of petals, floating in the sky. The experts displayed all their abilities, getting close to the bronze hall. Among them, 2 were at the front lines, and were the most prominent. It was none other than Xiaomang and Mo Wutian. But good times did not last. Ba Huang and Ying Ming, the 2 dog emperors appeared, blocking their advancement like last time. It is time. At the front lines, Tai Ruo Nan was bathed in blood as she stopped her footsteps, resting as she breathed heavily. Tai Clan's 4 old-timers were guarding by her side. Other than that, there was Tai Bai Chi. We are a few thousand steps from the bronze hall. There are many dogs here. It is up to you, Lord Tai Bai Chi. Tai Ruo Nan said. He, I have been watching the whole time, my hands are itching already. Tai Bai Chi took off his hat, showing off the third eye on his forehead. Pew, he activated his GU worm, pushing the space before him with both hands, forming a black hole. The black hole continued to spin, as numerous white apes jumped out. The white ape army gushed out, forming into a strong formation as it charged towards the bronze hall. Young master, go ahead. I will block them here. Tai Bai Chi's tone was confident and powerful. We'll be counting on you. The immortal GU is most important. For the clan, we have to arrest Fang Yuan alive. Tai Ruo Nan gritted her teeth, waving her hand and bringing the Tai clan 4 old-timers and starting their invasion. With the white ape army to cover for them in sacrifice, Tai Ruo Nan successfully made it into the hall. Fang Yuan was still refining GU, he could not do anything else. Land Spirit wanted to strike, but Fang Yuan stopped it. Ba Gui, don't force yourself. You have to control the dog groups while manipulating the immortal essence to assist me in refining GU, how can you be further distracted? Bai Ningbing, it will be up to you now, go block her. Bai Ningbing snorted coldly, squinting her eyes as he blocked Tai Ruo Nan, engaging in fierce combat. In the space before Fang Yuan, cloud smoke was moving violently. In his previous life, he had already used third watch GU by this time. But now, without Feng Tianyu's help, Fang Yuan's progress was extremely slow. He had just thrown in the 500-year lifespan GU. Without the refinement master Feng Tianyu, Fang Yuan felt difficulty controlling the cloud smoke. The cloud smoke reacted violently, causing Fang Yuan to almost fail several times, but he managed to salvage it every time. Behind him, as Tai and Bai fought, Tai clan's 4 old-timers joined in. Bai Ningbing could not rival them, as she fell into a disadvantage, shouting, Fang Zheng, I can't hold them back anymore, how long more do you need? The cloud smoke had finally absorbed the lifespan GU, turning into the blood fields, golden wheat, filled with crops. It was the 500 years as autumn scene. Fang Yuan's voice was nervous. Hang in there, I need a lot of time. If I die, you will not live too, Bai Ningbing cursed continuously. Several moves later, Bai Ningbing gasped roughly, I can't continue. Fang Yuan, I am going to self-destruct. Your aptitude has already returned to 100%. Fang Yuan was startled. What do you think? Bai Ningbing cursed. The cloud smoke was slowly maturing, dissipating. From a water tank size, it shrunk to a basin size. Try to hold on, unless you can't control it anymore, don't, Fang Yuan shouted. It is too late. Bai Ningbing sighed deeply. Crack crack. Frost quickly gathered, as the cold aura spread everywhere in the main hall and the temperature decreased rapidly. What GU is this? Tai Ruo Nan's cry of surprise also reached Fang Yuan's ears. Fang Yuan turned his head with difficulty to look and saw the main hall already becoming a world of ice and snow. Bai Ningbing was floating high up in the air, her whole body turning into ice crystal, similar to the situation when she had self-destructed back at Qingmao Mountain. The cold wind blustered and glacier rose, crushing towards Tai Ruo Nan with vast and majestic force. Is this the legendary Northern Dark Ice Soul physique? Tai Ruonan cried out in surprise. But it was already too late, she was sealed within the ice like an insect in an amber. The ice continued spreading towards Fang Yuan. Bai Ningbing, Bai Ningbing, Fang Yuan worriedly shouted, but there was no response from Bai Ningbing. Her body had almost become one with ice and her whole face had started turning indistinct. Her crystal-like eyes no longer shone and had thoroughly dimmed. Damn it, Fang Yuan cursed, standing up and sending the Yang Jiyu towards Bai Ningbing. But halfway, the Yang Jiyu made a U-turn, and returned to Fang Yuan's right hand. At the same time, the cloud smoke turned into a Jiyu worm, landing on Fang Yuan's left hand. This Jiyu was like a peanut shell, golden and dazzling, the markings on the surface resembles bright red blood traces. Earlier, the fake second aperture Jiyu could only live for a week, and was not stable. But this new Jiyu could survive for 40 years. He. Fang Yuan raised his head and laughed, using liquid metal Jiyu and blocking the frost. Then he said to Bai Ningbing, Bai Ningbing, have you acted enough? The frost came to a stop. Fang Yuan laughed again, saying, did you have a good time cooperating with Tai clan? This time, Bai Ningbing could not longer act, she turned back into flesh body and stared at Fang Yuan with a shocked and solemn suspicion, how did you? In Shang Clan City, you purposely lost to Yan Tu, getting Dr. Su Shou's help to remove the poison vow, and then secretly contacted Tai Ruonan. On Sancha Mountain, you plotted together with the 4 old-timers all these, did you think I was ignorant? Fang Yuan played with the 2 Jiyu in his hands as he said. Bai Ningbing landed on the ground with a dazed expression, stunned beyond words. How did Fang Yuan find out all these? I was extremely secretive, this means, he was always watching coldly at my performance. Wait, I succeeded in planting the fixed star Jiyu though. Fang Yuan, you demon, so what if you found out? You can't escape today, there is nowhere to run. Tai Ruonan saw that the matter was exposed and quickly broke out of the ice, as the 4 old-timers joined her. Fang Yuan chuckled, raising his left arm, you mean the fixed star Jiyu? What if I chop off my arm? Tai clan's 4 old-timers frowned deeply. Once Fang Yuan chopped off his arm, even if they used their killer move, they would only get his arm. According to their understanding of Fang Yuan, sacrificing his left forearm was nothing to this cruel and wicked person. Ha ha ha, Tai Ruonan suddenly laughed. She pointed at Fang Yuan, shouting, Fang Yuan, stop trying to deceive us. So what if you saw through our scheme? The dog group outside the hall cannot block the 2 factions. Soon, Xiaomeng, Chou Ju, Mo Wutian, Yi Huo, Yi Chong and the others would charge in, can you defend the immortal Jiyu? You are a frenzied lunatic, killing so many Jiyu masters and plundering their apertures to refine Jiyu. These crimes are unforgivable, Bai Ningbing is the best witness. As long as we announce it to the world, you will be a wanted criminal everywhere. More importantly, your immortal Jiyu is not done refining yet. Do you still have a chance of succeeding? Impossible, you have no time left, not long later, this hall will be overrun by people, where can you run to? Try flying out, your only way out now is to surrender to our Tai clan, and contribute that half-done immortal Jiyu to us, as well as surrender the old clan leader's Jiyu worms, and enter the demon suppression tower for reform, that's the only way you can keep your life. Chapter 404 Refining Immortal Jiyu Again. Chapter 404, Refining Immortal Jiyu Again. Tai Ruonan took a step forward and looked with a gaze that was sharp as a knife. Fang Yuan, you are a smart man, you should be clear of your situation. I am indeed clear of my situation. Fang Yuan's expression was tranquil, and I am even more clear of your situation. His lips revealed a trace of cold smile. Immortal Jiyu refinement has indeed not finished, but this has let me preserve more portions of immortal essence, enough for me to kill you all. However, right at this time, Bog Wei appeared and spoke with a tearful expression. No use, it is no use. There will be too much loss in immortal essence to kill them and the remaining amount won't be able to support the Jiyu refinement. Furthermore, it is late now, there are too many holes in the blessed land and it will completely collapse and disperse into smoke not long later. Its biggest obsession was to complete the refinement of second aperture Jiyu, it did not even care about its own destruction. Right now, Fang Yuan had only refined to this stage and the crucial step still remained, which was also the most difficult step, but the situation no longer allowed him to continue. Young man, you made a grave mistake in your calculations, our immortal Jiyu refinement is a failure. The land spirit howled in grief. Refining immortal Jiyu, never expected it to be so lively here. Yan Jun calmly stepped into the main hall. In the previous life, He had been obstructed by Feng Tianyu, but now with no obstructions, he walked freely into the bronze hall. Haha, Fang Yuan, you are not the blessed land's master, thus the land spirit will not completely obey your commands. Since young clan leader Yan Jun has arrived, the others also won't be far. Today, your loss is certain. Tai Ruonan had some fear towards the land spirit and could only continue to engage in psychological battle. No, there is still hope, the GU refinement can't be considered a failure. Fang Yuan suddenly smiled. He moved his gaze towards Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing's heart tightened. If Fang Yuan used Yang Jiyu to force her to fight to the death, what course of path should she take? However, Fang Yuan's gaze moved past Bai Ningbing and turned towards the land spirit Bagwei. This aged Bagwei was looking awful right now after crying, appearing extremely broken-hearted. Bagwei, do you still want to refine second aperture GU or not? Fang Yuan transmitted his voice. Could it be that you have some way? Bagwei suddenly felt a trace of hope. That's right, you are a reborn GU immortal, and with your previous life's experience, you should have expected this situation, right? No, the situation is beyond my expectations. The current me is only immortal and I am unable to make a difference. Fang Yuan said frankly, Bagwei, I have failed you, the GU refinement this time is indeed a failure. The land spirit started wailing even louder. However, Fang Yuan immediately changed the topic, but this failure is only temporary, we can still have hope. The land spirit's crying softened as it asked, what do you mean? After you die, I will be the only person who knows the recipe. The half-finished second aperture GU is also with me, so Bagwei, you must protect me. Of course I have to protect you. You are the only person who satisfied the requirements of the Blessed Land and are also a reborn GU immortal. There is a huge chance of the refinement of the second aperture GU succeeding in the future even if it is a failure this time. The land spirit answered as a matter of fact. Good. It is as great that you have this understanding. However, you can only protect me for a period but not forever. Not long later, you will die. With the remaining immortal essence, we also cannot completely root out all the enemies in the Blessed Land. Even if you transport me to the outside world, there are many groups of GU masters on Sancha Mountain. The corner of Fang Yuan's lips curled into a sinister smile. Since the rebirth this time, everything was going smoothly. As he inched closer to success, he could not help but feel a trace of excitement. Then how do you want me to protect you? The land spirit asked. Fang Yuan chuckled and said profoundly, Bagwei, do you remember the third section of the second chapter of the less than the legends of Renzu greater than? The land spirit was dazed as it guessed Fang Yuan's meaning. It said with hesitation, you are saying no, that won't work, there are two conditions that are not fulfilled. First of all, you need the light of glory of the immemorial era. He. Fang Yuan laughed satisfiedly at this. He raised his hand and pointed to the top of the bronze hall and shouted, look, the light is here. From the moment he stood up, he had inwardly asked the land spirit to share its vision, thus the situation outside was very clear to him. Afterward, the talk with the Thai clansmen and others were only delaying the time and waiting for a good opportunity. This was already the third time Fang Yuan had used Spring-Autumn Cicada, and by accumulating his experience, he had an even deeper understanding of rebirth. There was indeed a butterfly effect to the aftermath of rebirth that could cause some things to change completely. However, there was also historical inertia. Many great events that occurred were conflicts that accumulated over time, they only lacked a trigger point. Even without the original trigger, a new one would always appear. This was not something a person alone could influence and change easily. Outside the main hall, Xiaomeng was getting impatient fighting with Yingming and flew to the sky. Rank 4, Gather Light GU. Rank 5, Extreme Light GU. Rank 5, River Under the Sun GU. Killer Move, Torrential Light Stream. The river of light rolled and crashed as it poured down towards the Blessed Land. The light was blinding, and the waves were fierce, it turned the entire battlefield white, and everyone closed their eyes, unable to resist such a strong light. Not good. Tai Ruonan and others were in the main hall. Tai Baichi tried to stop it when he saw this, but the light river's formation was already complete and he could only reduce its impact by a little. The grand light river was like a waterfall, crashing heavily on the bronze hall. The roof of the hall was immediately broken through, and the light waterfall flew towards Fang Yuan. The light of glory of the immemorial era. The land spirit cried out in shock. Fang Yuan laughed loudly and poured his primeval essence into rank 4 bone wings GU and rank 5 liquid metal GU. A pair of long and wide black wings spread out from his back, while the liquid metal covered his whole body like paint, spreading towards the black wings and dyeing his whole body with dazzling golden light. What is he doing? Fang Yuan. In Tai Ruo Nan, Bai Ningbing and the others' astonished gazes, Fang Yuan flapped his wings and flew directly towards the river of light. Bam! There was loud buzzing in his ears and the formidable impact forced Fang Yuan backwards. However, he had killed many rank 5 GU masters before and obtained many movement GU like Golden Aurora GU and so on. Right now, he activated them all and flew against the flow of the waterfall, flying higher and higher. When he flew out of the bronze hall, it immediately attracted countless gasps and doubts. What is that thing? It is flashing with golden light and looks like a large bird. No, that is a person, a warrior that has been soaked in molten gold. There was only a vast sea of whiteness in Fang Yuan's sight. His primeval essence was depleting rapidly by activating so many movement GU and defensive GU. Time and tide wait for no man, land spirit help me, divine travel GU. Immortal GU divine travel landed on his palm. Jade sky GU. A ray of green light shot out from his aperture and landed on his hand, turning into a jade green colored bamboo that was hollow in the middle. What in the world is he trying to do? He actually faced the killer move head on and flew up. Tai Ruo Nan stared with wide-opened eyes, expressing her shock. Did little beast king give up, and is trying to end his life? Yan Jun's jaws were wide open as he looked up in a daze. Something's up, I understand him. Everything Fang Yuan does has extremely deep meaning. No matter what, we can't let him have his way, we must disrupt this. Bai Ningbing's tone was hurried and for some reason, the bad feeling in her heart continued to become stronger. Tai Ruo Nan nodded and agreed with Bai Ningbing's words. 4 old-timers, she shouted. Understood. The 4 old-timers immediately moved separately towards east, south, west and north directions. They kneeled on the ground and held their right wrist with their left hand. Their right hands were spread out in a claw form and faced each other. Killer move, infinite search and lock. Almost at the same time, Fang Yuan's left arm shone with an eerie blue light. One could vaguely see the fixed star GU on it. This GU was a star fragment of the immemorial era. It was like an 8-sided diamond and was crystal clear. At the same time, all around Fang Yuan, space tore apart and 4 chains appeared, moving like pythons. Finally reacting at this point. HMPH, too late. Fang Yuan gave a cold smile. Divine travel GU suddenly flew and pierced into his left arm, swallowing the fixed star GU. The 4 old-timers coughed out blood as they lost the connection with the fixed star GU. The 4 chains moving beside Fang Yuan also lost their target and flew about carelessly before they were destroyed by the river of light. After the divine travel GU ate fixed star GU, it went into the hollow jade sky GU and rapidly formed a cocoon. There is a strange person flying directly towards my killer move. Xiao Meng was indescribably shocked. Others often did not have enough time to dodge his killer move, but now there was actually a fool who was facing it head-on. Who is this guy? What is he trying to do? Yi Huo, Yi Chong and the others stared at the sky with stupefied looks. Wait a second, this scene, where did I see it before? Li Xian frowned deeply, a ray of light flashed in his astute mind. How could this be? He seems to be refining GU. Feng Tianyu looked up for a while and after seeing somewhat clearly he immediately became shocked. He is actually refining GU using the killer move, his courage knows no bounds. Mo Wutian's eyes shot out purple light that extended 2 inches into the air. That's right, Fang Yuan was refining GU. This was Fang Yuan's plan. When he enslaved Killer Ghost Doctor, it was certain the second aperture GU's refinement would fail. Because at the last step of merging with Divine Travel GU, Fang Yuan was not able to accomplish it by just himself. Previously, he had the help of Refinement Path Grand Master Feng Tianyu and the assistance of the Land Spirit, before he was able to barely finish it. Now, he did not have Feng Tianyu's help, thus this step was destined to fail. However, after rebirth, Fang Yuan had never truly thought of refining second aperture GU. He deceived the Land Spirit and intentionally delayed time to create such a special situation to convince the Land Spirit and refine this GU. Similar to the second aperture GU, this GU was also an immortal GU whose recipe was recorded in Chapter 2 Section 3 of Less than the Legends of Ren Zhu greater than. Less than the Legends of Ren Zhu greater than was the first classic of the GU world. It appeared to be a story when one first read it, but it actually held profound messages, recording the secrets of the ancient times and all kinds of GU. Some GU were directly described like Wisdom GU, Strength GU and so on. While some GU were hidden, their descriptions were very vague, requiring the readers to dig through it and study carefully. Chapter 405. Chapter 405. Spreading my wings and flying away today, becoming an immortal and whipping the phoenix on another day. Double chapter. The light of glory of the immemorial era shone on the cocoon. Absorbing the glory of the immemorial era, the cocoon was undergoing a mystical change. Fang Yuan's body was shining in golden brilliance, swimming up against the flow of the torrential light stream. Facing the strong killer move of a rank 5 GU master, liquid metal goo's defense was starting to become useless. The golden protection was washed away by the light eventually. Especially the bone wings, it slowly revealed its original black color after being washed by the torrential light stream. In the grand waterfall of light, a lone body was flying with great difficulty while facing great pressure. Such a mystical sight naturally attracted many GU masters' attention. The battlefield slowly turned silent. Land Spirit assisted Fang Yuan fully. After the dogs lost their master, they scattered. All the GU masters stood on the spot, raising their heads and watching. In their hearts, they had one question: this scenario, I have obviously not seen it before, yet why do I find it so familiar? I remember now. Suddenly, someone shouted. This scene was recorded in the legends of Ren Zhu, that's why it is so familiar. Less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than, the #1 classic in the world, spread throughout the world widely, no one was unfamiliar with it. Getting such a reminder, many people realized at once. That's right, this was recorded in Ren Zhu's 2nd chapter, 3rd section. I remember now. Verdant Great Sun flapped his wings and bathed in the light of glory in order to refine fixed immortal travel GU, flying towards the sun. People recalled, laughing immediately. What is this person doing? Copying Verdant Great Sun, and disregarding his life. Haha, don't tell me he is thinking of refining fixed immortal travel GU. How is that possible? He has divine travel GU. Of course Fang Yuan had it. But divine travel GU was not enough, it was recorded in less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than. Verdant Great Sun was afraid that divine travel GU would send him to dangerous places while he was drunk. Divine travel GU was ashamed because of this, thus directing him. Go up into the sky, and in the azure heaven among the 9 heavens, there is a bamboo forest. Inside the bamboo forest, pluck a jade bamboo that is jade sky in color. Next, go to blue heaven and during the night time, collect the 8-sided diamonds inside the star fragments. Next, when it is dawn, fly into the sky and use the light of glory of the rising sun to turn me into fixed immortal travel GU. Once I become that GU, I will no longer send you to random places when you are drunk. Thus, Fang Yuan needed the jade sky-colored jade bamboo from azure heaven, and an 8-sided diamond star fragment from blue heaven. And also, the light of glory of the immemorial era. Did he have these? Not at first, but after rebirth, he killed Long Qingtian and obtained jade sky GU. This GU was rank 5 and originated from the immemorial era. It was like a dark green bamboo stem, palm size and hollow in the middle, giving off a texture of jade on the surface. This was the azure heaven's jade bamboo. Less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than described all sorts of GU. Immortal GU were described as they were, like wisdom GU and strength GU. Mortal GU were written more obscurely, the readers needed to look into them and research carefully. But the jade sky bamboo was not enough, he needed the 8-sided diamond star fragment. Did he have it? Of course not, but Bai Ningbing planted it on him. Indeed, the fixed star GU. This GU was a star fragment from the immemorial era, looking like a diamond with 8 sides. It was planted on Fang Yuan's left forearm, giving off starlight, able to project a half-transparent eerie blue light from his arm. So now he had the jade sky bamboo and the 8-sided diamond star fragment, but to refine fixed immortal travel GU, Fang Yuan needed one final condition, that is what the land spirit mentioned, the light of glory of the immemorial era. Did Fang Yuan have this? From start to end, he had never obtained it. But Xiao Meng had it. Xiao Meng controlled an extreme light GU, this GU was obtained by robbing graves, it was an incomplete GU. It could only be used 3 times every month to unleash the light of glory. Once it exceeded 3 times, it would self-detonate. And torrential light stream was a killer move that, in some aspects, replicated the light of glory. Divine travel GU, jade sky GU, fixed star GU, as well as the light of the immemorial era, all the conditions were fulfilled. When Fang Yuan rebirthed and realized this, he discarded the 2nd aperture GU in his heart, changing his objective to refining the fixed immortal travel GU. But it was impossible to convince the land spirit. The land spirit's obsession was to refine 2nd aperture GU. Thus, Bai Ningbing, Tai Ruonan, and the righteous demonic factions became Feng Yuan's tools. He calculated meticulously in his heart, controlling the flow of events as he swayed them in his favor, causing this result. When the land spirit realized that no matter what, the second aperture GU would not be refined successfully, it would change its goal to protecting Feng Yuan, as that is the only way hope remains. The cocoon absorbed the sunlight, trembling slightly as the aura of an immortal GU leaked out uncontrollably. Everyone was flabbergasted. Such an aura, how is this possible? Tai Ruonan, Bai Ningbing and the others were staring with their eyes popping out. He is refining GU, he is really refining an immortal GU. Who is he? Is he the reincarnation of Verdant Great Sun? Yi Huo, Yi Chong, and the others were staring with their jaws dropping. Fixed immortal travel, is he really refining fixed immortal travel GU? To think that I, Feng Tianyu, would get to see the birth of an immortal GU. This refinement master kneeled on the ground emotionally, tears overflowing on his face. In the blessed land, the few remaining hairy men all kneeled down. This moment, they were idolizing this person refining an immortal GU. Unbelievable, an event of the immemorial era was unfolding before them. An unimaginable grandness and beauty caused many GU masters' bodies to shook. Was it excitement, fear, or both? At once, Feng Yuan's figure was the center of everyone's attention. No matter how glaring the torrential light stream was, everyone's eyes were wide open, staring without blinking. The immortal Gu's aura became more intense, but at this crucial moment, something happened. Trying to use my power to refine an immortal GU. HMPH. Xiao Meng was no fool. After realizing this, he immediately stopped his killer move. The torrential light stream ended. Everyone gasped loudly. No, Feng Tianyu screamed, his heart pained as he showed grief and despair. In his vision, the torrential light stream was like a cut ribbon, flowing down weakly. With just 3 breaths' time, the GU master in the light waterfall would be freed. Such a short time was not enough to birth an immortal GU. But why would Feng Yuan not anticipate this? Third watch GU. Third watch GU. He activated 2 third watch GU targeting the cocoon. At once, time accelerated by 9 times, as the immortal Gu's aura surged. He used 2 time path GU worms to accelerate time. Feng Tianyu got up like he was jolted with lightning, his eyes glowing as his face turned red. There was still hope. But immediately, his red face turned pale, as Feng Tianyu plopped on the ground with a dejected expression, crying, "It is useless, the acceleration is only a temporary measure. If the immortal GU is created too quickly, it will not be able to stabilize its aura, and will be destroyed through self-detonation." But was Feng Yuan ignorant about this? He took out a GU worm. This GU had in plain appearance, like a gray stone disc. In his previous life, he obtained it from Feng Tianyu. This time, he got it from killer ghost Dr. Cho Ju. What GU? Undefeated 100 battles. Undefeated 100 battles GU. Rank 5 expenditure GU. Once used, it allowed a GU master's refinement to succeed for sure. The next moment, Feng Tianyu was stunned, grabbing his head and screaming in great joy, "How can this be?" Because he felt the immortal Gu's aura stabilizing like a miracle. The cocoon broke open, and a green butterfly flew out, fixed immortal travel GU. It truly is an immortal GU. Beautiful beyond words. Who in the world is he? He actually refined an immortal GU. At once, everyone's hearts were pounding, regardless of whether they were aware or unaware of the circumstances, they were speechless and shocked to their limits. Xiao Meng was stupefied, Mo Wutian was in a daze. Is this the reenactment of a legend? What era am I living in? Feng Yuan flew out of the light waterfall, as fixed immortal travel GU flew around him. Each time it flapped its wings, green light flickered like pollen. It was a beautiful sight. Of course, Feng Yuan paid a huge price. A rank 5 killer move was not a joke. Liquid metal GU died, golden aurora GU and the others were greatly damaged. The black wings on his back were torn and tattered. As the liquid metal faded, Feng Yuan's identity was revealed. At once, a commotion burst out. Who is he? Mo Wutian's pupils shrunk. It's him, Little Beast King. Hu Mei'er and Li Xian were shocked. It's him. Yi Huo's eyes were popping out. It is actually him. Zhao Huang and Meng Tu looked at each other, trembling, feeling each other's shock, after fear, and joy. They had the guts to assassinate such a strong foe. A man who can refine an immortal GU. Feng Yuan, Bai Ningbing, Tai Ruonan and the others who knew the situation witnessed this miracle with their own eyes, watching like a still statue. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, during the immemorial era, Verdant Great Sun flapped his wings, refining and fixed immortal travel GU. But now, Fang Yuan was doing the same, using his mortal body to accomplish such a grand feat under everyone's observation. Once this matter spread, his name would be renowned throughout the continent, shocking the whole southern border. You really succeeded in refining fixed immortal travel GU, incredible. As expected of a future GU immortal. Fang Yuan could hear land spirits praise and sigh. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. Fixed immortal travel GU can allow a GU master to roam the world, going anywhere he wanted. But it is still an immortal GU, your help is needed, to activate it using immortal essence. Bagwei, of course. There is still some immortal essence left in the cauldron, recall in your mind where you want to go, you should choose a safe place. Remember, the image in your head has to be the same as the real place, there cannot be too big of a difference. I understand that. Bagwei sighed, speaking wholeheartedly. Using the fixed immortal travel would allow you to escape this predicament, but without immortal essence the blessed land will be destroyed immediately. Death is a relief for me. I just wish you would succeed in refining second aperture GU in the future, and do not waste this opportunity. Before we part, do you have anything to say to me? Fang Yuan opened his mouth, but no words came out. He moved his tattered black wings, flying in the sky and looking around. The torn bronze hall, the mound battlefield overflowing with blood, and the ruined GU immortal blessed land. Goodbye, Bai Ningbing. Goodbye, Tai Ruo Nan. Goodbye, southern border. The land spirit did not know that Fang Yuan was about to take an even greater risk. But life was a gamble, if one did not gamble when they had the chance, when would they succeed? If man did not have aspirations as grand as heaven, they would be letting down their 8 feet body. 1. Thinking like this, Fang Yuan felt great ambition and aspiration, his heart boiling with anticipation. Standing before everyone, he felt an urge and expressed it as a poem. The people present heard him recite. Since ancient times land immortal passed with the wind, today 3 kings return to eternal slumber. Who would not experience failure? Verdant's son died regretfully. Start over again and proclaim oneself as king. The carp swims up the heavenly waterfall, traveling alone in the desolate lands and defying heaven. Spreading my wings and flying away today, becoming an immortal and whipping the phoenix on another day. As he said so, Fang Yuan laughed loudly. Everyone was speechless. Only the land spirit shouted, "Grand aspirations, I will send you on your journey." Immortal essence entered the fixed immortal travel GU, and jade light flashed, as Fang Yuan vanished from the air. Only his clothes were left, floating in the air like a kite with its strings cut. He vanished. He used the fixed immortal travel GU, I wonder where he went. Ah, why is heaven and earth shaking? Everyone was stunned. At this time, intense winds blew as mountains broke, the world was collapsing. Loopholes after loopholes were formed, connecting to the outside world. Damn it, escape quickly. The blessed land is collapsing, the winds of assimilation is coming. If we do not escape now, we will die, I do not want to die. The experts were frightened and shocked, frantically escaping as Sancha Mountain went into chaos once again. Central Continent, TNT Mountain. In Hu Immortal Blessed Land, on Danghun Mountain, the battle for Hu Immortal Blessed Land was reaching its end. Fang Zheng, hang in there, victory is within reach. Lord Sky Crane encouraged. The skin on Fang Zheng's arms and legs were torn, as blood flowed down. He surpassed Ying Shengji, Xiao Qi Xing, his body was numb from pain, and his brain was unable to think, there was only Danghun Mountain left in his mind. Being the first to ascend, he only had one thought left in his mind. I am the great Feng Jin Huang, how can I lose here? I have never lost since I was born, this time is no exception. Come out, dream wings. Feng Jin Huang shouted, and a beautiful pair of wings grew from her shoulders. This pair of wings was extremely elegant and beautiful, all sorts of lights shone on it, it was dazzling and alluring, with just one flap, Feng Jin Huang ascended easily. What? This is the legendary immortal GU, Dream Wings. The 9 GU immortals were shocked. Most immortal GU could only be used with immortal essence. But Dream's wings were different, it used the GU master's spirit and soul instead. Feng Jin Huang was only immortal, activating the dream wings forcefully would cause severe damage to her soul, amnesia at best, becoming retarded at worst. But Feng Jin Huang was competitive, she wanted victory, willing to pay any price. Under Fang Zheng, stunned gaze, she overtook him, taking back her head. The dream wings were folded back as Feng Jin Huang stood at the side of the cliff, breathing heavily, she felt a strong dizziness from the depths of her soul, almost causing her to faint. She reached her limits. Forcefully activating an immortal GU, it was not easy for Feng Jin Huang to reach this step. I actually lost. Fang Zheng stared with wide-opened eyes, dejected and upset. Feng Jinhuang's arms were already at the edge of the peak, she was one step away. I am about to win. At this moment, Feng Jinhuang forced herself to raise her head, using the last bit of strength she had. Her eyes were glowing like amber, her beautiful appearance and her snow-white long neck was shining like jade in the blessed land's pink light. She was like a young phoenix, expanding its wings for the first time. Brilliant and glorious. At once, even Gu immortals were dazed. Fang Zheng raised his head to look at her, as Hu immortal land spirit stared at her in a daze, everyone was waiting for Feng Jinhuang's victory. Feng Jinhuang did not let everyone down, she bit her lips, placing her arms at the edge of the cliff. Next, she used her remaining strength to drag her body up as well. But at this moment, swoosh, jade light flashed, and a man appeared on the mountain peak. This man was completely naked, his left forearm had a hole as blood flowed out of it. His youthful body was strong and muscular, giving off the aura of a veteran expert who had undergone countless battles. Brother, Fang Zheng was shocked, slipping and falling down the cliff. The 10 Gu immortals were shocked. Who is this naked man? Feng Jinhuang raised her snow-white neck, looking at Fang Yuan from his feet, stunned and watching with her eyes wide open like a statue. Fang Yuan's body was muscular, the giant monster on his lower body entered Feng Jinhuang's vision without any doubt. I really came here. Tisk, fixed immortal travel Gu has such a weakness, it cannot transport clothes along with me. But thankfully, I placed my Gu worms inside my aperture, and brought them along. Fang Yuan looked around, realizing his situation. Isn't this person below me Feng Jinhuang? It seems less than biography of Feng Jinhuang greater than gave an accurate time. He was a step before her. This competition did not ban immortal Gu worms, according to the rules, he was Hu immortal blessed land's owner. I succeeded, all my risks paid off. So what if I failed to refine second aperture Gu? Now I have something better, the entire Hu immortal blessed land, and fixed immortal travel Gu. Ha 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 ha, Fang Yuan laughed crazily in his heart. Unfortunately, she has the immortal Gu dream wings, I can't kill her yet. Fang Yuan looked at Feng Jinhuang regretfully, before raising his right foot. Under the 10 Gu immortal's supervision, his right foot landed on Feng Jinhuang's face, as a jade-like feeling could be felt on his feet. Scram! Fang Yuan pushed, and kicked the weak and dazed Feng Jinhuang down. Feng Jinhuang was already out of strength, how could she resist Fang Yuan's kick? She immediately descended. Fang Yuan turned around, facing the land spirit. Little Hu immortal, aren't you calling me you master? Ma master, the little girl stared at Fang Yuan, shocked. After she reacted, she used her small tender hands to cover her large crystal clear eyes. Next, she lowered her head, her face red with shame, as she stomped her foot, shaking her head, saying meekly, Master, aren't you shameful, you are so old already, quickly wear some clothes. Chapter 406 Feng Juzhe. Chapter 406, Feng Juzhe. 9 days later, atop of a lush green mountain valley, a small waterfall flowed downwards like a strip of silvery silk. The waterfall's stream flowed into an ancient lake. The ancient lake was deep and dark jade in color, with ripples on the surface of the water. In the pond, all kinds of carp were swimming about. On the top of a white rock beside the water, Feng Jinhuang sat with her eyes closed. Her face, bright and beautiful, was reflected in the water, causing this ancient lake to gain a brilliant elegance. The colorful carps in the water, the clear pool water, the silvery waterfall, and the green valley all complemented each other. However, Feng Jinhuang's pretty brows were deeply scrunched. Although she has tried her best to calm down, every time she closed her eyes for more than 30 breaths, an image flashed in her mind from the depths of her heart. On an illustrious pink crystal mountain peak, a naked man looked down at her with his black eerie pupils. She was sprawling on the edge of the cliff, and when she looked up, she saw everything on the man's body. His bleeding left arm with a bloody hole, his strong muscles, his broad chest, and the massive thing between his legs. The image was engraved into her heart. The memory was so vivid that the events of that day could never be forgotten by this proud woman. Especially since afterwards, the man stretched out his right foot and stepped on her face. Feng Jinhuang wanted to forget the feeling of being trampled on her face, yet the feeling was so vivid that she could clearly recall it even now. Forget it, forget him. Keep a peace of mind, peace of mind, calm down. Feng Jinhuang breathed more and more rapidly. Her breathing became heavier, and her chest moved rapidly as a result, and was becoming faster. In her heart, shame, humiliation, and hatred mixed together, turning into a volcano. How dare he? He dared to do that to me. Ah! Feng Jinhuang could not bear it anymore, and suddenly opened her phoenix eyes and stood up abruptly, raising her head and screaming. Boom! The volcano in her heart erupted, filling her chest with anger, almost melting her entire body. You are a despicable and shameless man, you dared to step on my face. I want to tear you to pieces. Feng Jinhuang roared, her eyes glowing with fire as she punched randomly. Bam 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 bam! The loud smashing sound, like the sound of thunder, erupted continuously. Feng Jinhuang's eyes exuded fire, the beautiful flames evaporated the ancient lake and burnt the green hills around her. She punched without a target, as her frenzied barrage sent the surrounding mountain rocks flying, as the ground cracked. After almost a few short breaths, Feng Jinhuang completely decimated the valley. Such terrifying battle strength, even if 10 Fang Yuan attacked together, he could not reach such a power level. Ah, this scoundrel, I want rend your flesh, limb by limb. I want to step on your bones and crush them into pieces. I'll make you suffer for 7 days and 7 nights. I swear, I'll make you to suffer endless pain, I want you to die and regret everything you have done to me. Then, I'll turn you into ashes and scatter you into the wind. Feng Jinhuang bellowed without stopping, the anger in her chest making her lose all rationality. A few hundred miles away, there were grass cottages built on a mountain peak. Through the window of the cottage, a pair of beautiful eyes stared at Feng Jinhuang, looking worried. Oh, my little Feng. Inside the cottage, a beauty was dressed in white silk adorned with a green belt. She was dignified and elegant, bearing a resemblance to Feng Jinhuang. She was the biological mother of Feng Jinhuang, Fairy Bai Qing, a rank 6 GU immortal. Stop looking, you have already watched her for 7 or 8 times during the last 10 minutes. The jade sea tide tea that I carefully brewed for you is getting cold by now, go sit down and drink it. Feng Juzhe sat by her side, helplessly saying. Drink, 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 all you care about is drinking tea. Is Feng Jinhuang even your daughter? As her father, aren't you worried at all? Bai Qing turned around, her brows were wrinkled and her tone was resentful. Sigh, our daughter, Feng had always been competitive since she was a child. Her talent was excellent, and no one was her match in her sect, but suddenly she stumbled and lost. Her immortal inheritance was the first failure of her life, but it is also the most important. You are her father, but you're actually still in the mood to drink tea here. Never mind the failure, what's more important is, Feng suffered such a huge loss. She actually got trampled by someone. Think about it, Feng is proud and had never paid attention to any man her age. Yet she was beaten in such a way, with someone's foot on her face, and for the first time, saw a similar aged man's body. This. The more Fairy Bai Qing talked, the more anxious she grew, and her eyes slowly turned red. Feng Juzhe looked at her and immediately got up, getting to her side, holding her in his arms. He frantically comforted her. Don't cry my Qing. Isn't your husband still here? In fact, in my opinion, this event was not without benefits. Oh, what good is there? Bai Qing casted a doubtful gaze at him. Sigh, Feng is our pride and joy, I'm proud of her yet also worried. She's too competitive and always wants to get first place. Yes, her talent is higher than mine, and she also has great comprehension abilities, but so what if her talent is higher, is it higher than all the heroes in the world? No matter how good her talent is, can it compare to Desolate Ancient Moon? Feng Ju explained in earnest. The great Desolate Ancient Moon, daughter of Ren Zhu, failed countless times. Feng had always experienced success and victory but had never understood the taste of failure. This is one of her defects, and also her weakness. Qing you are a rank 6 GU immortal, and I am a rank 7 GU immortal, but even if it was a rank 9 immortal Venerable or Demon Venerable, they can only live long, but not forever. We are able to protect Feng now, but one day we will leave her. By that time, she will only be able to rely on herself. Experiencing this failure will help her mature. Birds leave the nest and fly alone. After they withstand setbacks, they can train their wings and fight in the sky. In the future, when Feng leaves us, we can be relieved. Feng is my baby, I would love nothing more than to protect her inside the blessed land forever. Fairy Bai Qing leaned on Feng Juji's chest as she wiped her tears. She sighed and said, Sigh, you are right, Feng will leave us one day, we should let her train more. But this is too much, she had lost too much this time. Her immortal inheritance was lost, she was even bullied by that immortal crane sect lad, are you as her father not going to do anything about it? HMPH. Feng Ju snorted, squinting as his eyes shone with a cold light. Immortal Crane sect went too far indeed, even though they had promised to compensate us in the other 8 major sects. But Feng is my daughter, how she can experience such bullying? I have already written a letter and it has been sent to them. If this He Feng Yang does not know what's good for him, I will go to their sect to find him and settle the score. Fairy Bai Qing's heart eased. It turns out that her husband had already acted. But immediately, Bai Qing was nervous and looked at her husband. Husband, don't be rash, don't make a huge commotion. Back when you attacked the top 10 sects, Immortal Crane sect was also one of the victims. They know that you're the strongest, but don't do this kind of thing again. I know. Haha, you can be at ease. Feng Juzhe calmed his wife lying in his arms, his eyes subconsciously squinting as he snorted in his heart. Out of the top 10 sects in Central Continent now, none are worthy of facing off against me. South of the Central Continent, 30,000 feet above the mountains. In the sky, Feihe Mountain was floating among a sea of clouds, looking magnificent and grand. Trees were swaying on the mountain as 10,000 cranes flew by, giving off a living atmosphere of an immortal's residence. Currently, in Shangqing Pavilion at the top of the mountain, it was a heavy and grim atmosphere. Feng Juzhe has gone too far. The Supreme First Elder was staring furiously, his hands clutching a thin letter as he trembled with anger. With a bang, he slammed the letter on the white jade stone table. In the letter, Feng Jie listed several overbearing demands. But despite so, Supreme First Elder did not dare to destroy or burn this letter. This letter was shining with an azure green color. It was the transformation of the rank 5 letter sending green bird Gu. Once destroyed, Feng Juzhe would sense it. If he became furious, the situation would become troublesome. This guy, Feng Juzhe, was born into the demonic path. In the past, he obtained a rare opportunity and cultivated painstakingly, soundlessly reaching rank 6 Gu Immortal Realm. Once he came out, he amazed the world as he challenged all the heroes in the world, and no one could stop him. The 10 sects sent people to challenge him, but they all lost terribly, forced to join forces to resist him. Feng Juzhe was not afraid, fighting as he traveled for over 10 million miles, suddenly changing his tactic and going for the yellow dragon, causing the 10 sects to lose miserably. The scene was total chaos and there was nothing anyone could do. Fortunately, Fairy Bai Qing from Spirit Affinity House moved him with true love, finally reforming this demonic head. Back in the day, Feng Juzhe used his rank 6 cultivation and caused a commotion among the 10 sects. It was unimaginable. Now, he has rank 7 cultivation and has Spirit Affinity House, one of the 10 sects backing him. This person has the demeanor of a heavenly immortal. Although his requests are slightly overbearing, we can agree to it. Supreme Second Elder took out the letter, reading it and said with a calm tone. He Feng Yang, how can there be such a huge mistake in this matter you were in charge of? That Fang Yuan is not our disciple at all. What motives do you have, defending him like this? A thunderous voice echoed in Shangqing Pavilion, causing the windows to vibrate. The person speaking was Lei Tan, rank 6 Gu Immortal, and was at loggerheads with He Feng Yang. Places with people have conflict. Immortal Crane sect also has their conflicts and competition among factions. At once, all the gazes fell on He Feng Yang. He Feng Yang was like a young man, gentle like jade. A pair of jade-colored brows extended to his waist. His expression was calm, looking around slowly, then laughed and said, "This Fang Yuan is indeed not our disciple, but his brother Fang Zheng is one of us, the leader of the elite disciples of this generation." Lei Tan snickered. A tiny elite disciple's relative, he is worth our backing, the entire Immortal Crane sect. He Feng Yang, do you know how much compensation we will have to give to the 9 sects for this Fang Yuan? Of course I know. He Feng Yang glanced at Lei Tan, laughing in disdain. But these things, even if you multiply it by 3, can't compare to a Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Not to mention a fixed immortal travel GU. At once, many of the Supreme Elders understood. He Feng Yang, what are you trying to say? Lei Tan frowned, asking impatiently. Chapter 407 Immortal Crane Sect's Objective. Chapter 407, Immortal Crane Sect's Objective. He Feng Yang only smiled without replying Lei Tan's question. It was Supreme Third Elder who laughed and replied, I understand Elder Feng Yang's intention. If we didn't choose to shield this Fang Yuan, Hu Immortal Blessed Land would still be up for grabs for the 10 sects. However, by admitting that Fang Yuan is a member of our Immortal Crane sect, we have eliminated the other 9 opponents, letting only our Immortal Crane sect seize control of this blessed land. Lei Tan's gaze flickered and his expression slightly changed, but he no longer asked any questions. At this moment, He Feng stood up from his seat. He first cupped his fists towards Supreme Third Elder, who explaining the reason, Third Elder is wise. Things happened too suddenly. Who could have thought a mortal would use the immortal Gu fixed immortal travel to appear the peak of Dang Hun Mountain and inherit Hu immortal blessed land in front of everyone. This Hu immortal inheritance is at TNT Mountain. Everyone might know TNT Mountain as the stairs that connects to the heavenly court. Even though it was destroyed and had been abandoned for many years, it still represents the might of the heavenly court. In a way, attacking Hu immortal blessed land is attacking TNT Mountain, and attacking TNT Mountain is attacking the heavenly court. Thus, although there are many blessed lands on TNT Mountain, there has never been anyone who had the courage to attack it. Even this time, we waited for Hu immortal blessed land to open before we 10 GU immortals joined forces to enlarge the passage, with no intention of attacking. Even if we really attacked Hu immortal blessed land, the blessed land has a land spirit which would require at least 3 rank 6 GU immortals to join hands, and even then they might not succeed. Moreover, the control area of the blessed land is being protected by Dang Hun Mountain. Without 5 or 6 GU immortals cooperating earnestly, who would dare to say they can climb to the peak? Lei Tan, can you? Lei Tan snorted. He wanted to retort but kept quiet in the end. In blessed lands, the land spirit could freely mobilize all the resources and their battle prowess could be compared to a GU immortal. The most important thing was that the land spirit could suppress rank 1 to rank 5 GU worms. If a GU immortal wanted to attack the blessed land, their most powerful weapon would be immortal GU, because land spirits could not restrict immortal GU. However, immortal GU were hard to find and many GU immortals did not even have one immortal GU. Even if they had, it might not necessarily be suited to attack. This was the classic situation of low offense but high defense. If they were set on attacking the blessed land, it would often require the cooperation of several GU immortals to create a numerical advantage, and then competing through the expenditure of immortal essence. Once the blessed land's immortal essence was exhausted, they could start their attack. However, in truth, unless it was some special situation, GU immortals rarely attacked blessed lands. Because it was really not worth it. Not only was immortal essence precious and hard to accumulate, there was also the danger of the blessed land self-destructing. In the case where the land spirit could not defend and chose to destroy the blessed land, the winds of assimilation would blow over and destroy everything, causing the attackers to have no gains. When GU immortals attacked blessed lands, they would often gain nothing and instead suffer heavy losses. Unless it was a matter of deep hatred, nobody would agree to do such a transaction that only created loss. Seeing that Lei Tan was keeping quiet, He Feng continued, that Fang Yuan ascended to the peak and got the inheritance, immediately commanding the land spirit to close the blessed land. Fang Yuan and Fang Zheng looks almost the same. The GU immortals of the other 9 sects realized this and subconsciously thought this was our immortal crane sect's hidden move and questioned me one after another. At that time, I thought that if I were to say the truth, the Hu immortal inheritance's belonging would be undecided once again, as the 10 sects would still compete and fight over it. Thus, I acknowledged it, and even if we had to pay such a price for it, we have eliminated the other 9 great sects from the competition. Like this, we can secretly strategize about Hu immortal blessed land without worrying about other forces. He Feng explained the whole story. Lei Tan snorted and asked, there is a big problem in this plan. Hu immortal blessed land is on TNT Mountain and is also closed now. Without attacking and creating a loophole, how can we enter? He Feng laughed. It seems he already predicted this. How could I not have any plans? Blessed lands face calamities and tribulations. Hu immortal died during the 5th earthly calamity. I have already calculated the time. Hu immortal blessed land will face the 6th earthly calamity in a year and 3 months' time. Fang Yuan is only a mortal. How could he know how to resist the earthly calamity? Even with the help of the land spirit, without a sect's support, the blessed land will suffer heavy damage at that time and a loophole will appear. Lei Tan scoffed. Even if there is a loophole, do you dare to attack? Didn't you say just before that Hu immortal inheritance is on TNT Mountain? He Feng instantly replied. Forcefully attacking is a terrible move and we will only use it if all else fails. That Fang Yuan is only a mortal. As long as a loophole appears and we use some plans and schemes, is there a worry of failing to capture him? Once the earth calamity passes, he will definitely start worrying and thirst for external help. I have already planned it. First we use Fang Zheng and use the kinship to move and persuade him into cooperating for some transactions. As we make more transactions, his guard against us will naturally loosen, and using logic to persuade him, we might just convince him to join Immortal Crane sect. If he keeps on being stubborn, we can use some secret methods. Slavery GU is one good method. There aren't many ways to deal with the land spirit, but there are plenty of ways to deal with a mortal like him. If we can obtain fixed immortal travel GU like this, then it is no doubt the perfect outcome. The elders present felt a rush of excitement at the mention of fixed immortal travel GU. Many began to whisper and discuss with each other. The outcome He Feng Yang portrayed was truly beautiful. Most importantly, his plan had a chance of success. Lei Tan could feel the change in the atmosphere as he sat down in anger. You speak nice words, let's hope it goes our way. Supreme Third Elder mumbled. Besides special GU like Dream Wings GU that needs to be activated using the soul, most of the other immortal GU need immortal essence to activate, and this fixed immortal travel GU is not an exception. This Fang Yuan has fixed immortal travel GU, and with the help of land spirit to use the blessed land's immortal essence, he can escape any time he wishes. We need to be very careful to deal with him. Furthermore, there is one point to note, he is but immortal yet he possesses an immortal GU, he should have a rather deep background. He Feng Yang nodded. Junior has already thought of this point. Back then, when I claimed Fang Yuan was our sect's disciple, I checked the reactions of the other 9 sects. It seems that not one of the central continent's 9 sects are behind him. I am guessing, since Fang Yuan came from southern border, he is very likely to have a super clan of southern border behind him. But be it Wu clan, Sheng clan, Tai clan, Yi clan or other super clans, they are all situated far at southern border and cannot help him here. If they were to enter central continent, their battle strength would be suppressed. Our immortal crane sect is one of the 10 great sects of central continent, we have a huge chance of winning against them. All the elders nodded at these words and started another round of soft discussions. Indeed, a mighty dragon cannot suppress the local snake. Central continent is our immortal crane sect's territory. If they were to make a move, HMPH. Even if their battle prowess was not suppressed, our immortal crane sect is still stronger than any super groups of the 4 other regions by a mile. Third Elder's furrowed brows relaxed. There is one doubt remaining. To use fixed immortal travel GU, the user needs to have a vivid memory and clear understanding of the terrain he teleports to. Fang Yuan is only immortal from the faraway southern border, how could he know the scenery in Hu immortal blessed land? And how could his timing be so precise? Could it be, Hu Immortal had once set an inheritance in southern border? Or it could be one of the tricks of TNT Mountain's demonic path GU Immortals. He Feng Yang bowed. Junior is also not clear about this. This matter is strange. Originally, there was only a clue about the Blood Sea inheritance. At that time, one of our sect disciples defected and fled to southern border. A few years ago, I sent Lord Sky Crane to southern border to clean up and trash and bring back the inheritance. But Lord Sky Crane failed and instead it was Fang Yuan who obtained the inheritance, gaining Blood Skull GU. This kid is very ruthless and sinister, unexpectedly killing all his clansmen on the spot and used Blood Skull GU to raise his aptitude. Lord Sky Crane was unresigned and brought back Fang Zheng for future plans to retrieve the GU. He Feng Yang naturally had never have expected a nobody to so outrageously disrupt his plan back then, causing such a huge problem for him. This was a weird feeling. It was as if person was walking on the road, when suddenly a small ant jumped on their nose and started scratching it. Where did this ant come from? Such guts. The person could just crush it with their finger, but because of the peculiar situation, they were not able to catch the ant and could only let this ant feel triumphant for the time being. Not this Blood Sea inheritance again. Hearing He Feng Yang narrate the whole story, the elders present frowned, their heart turned irritated. Blood Sea inheritance came from a big shot of the demonic path, Blood Sea ancestor. He killed people like cutting grass and his infamy had gone down in history. With the might of a rank 7 GU Immortal, he had unexpectedly set up hundreds of thousands of inheritance sites that spread over central continent, southern border, northern plains, western desert and eastern sea. Before his death, he had laughed and proclaimed, "Blood path is not lonely, my mark will remain for all eternity." Now, just like he proclaimed, countless mortals had benefited. Blood Sea inheritance was already proclaimed as the most popular inheritance with the greatest number in the world. There was no competition. Countless righteous path figures were getting headaches because of it. Didn't that Shui Tu, who was only a butcher, become a famous demonic cultivator after obtaining Blood Sea inheritance? Years ago, myriad dragon Doc Song Zixing obtained one of the true Blood Sea inheritances and defected his sect, causing great humiliation to our 10 great sects. Now, he is already a rank 7 GU Immortal with the title, Blood Dragon. To kill this defector and wipe away their humiliation, myriad dragon Doc dispatched 8 GU Immortals, 5 rank 6 and 3 rank 7. The result was he killed 4 of them, crippled 3 of them and beat 1 into retreating. It is said that Blood Sea has 9 true inheritances. They are Blood Skull Gu, Blood Handprint Gu, Blood Chi Gu, Blood Sweat Gu, Menses Blood Gu, Blood Shadow Gu, Blood Battle Gu, as well as the Ancient Desolate Beast Violent Blood Dragon Bat and finally, the rank 6 Immortal Gu Blood Deity. He was truly someone who achieved great success in Blood Path. Speaking of which, 4 true inheritances of the Blood Sea ancestor had already shown up. One is Blood Skull Gu, which is with Fang Yuan. Another is Blood Handprint Gu, which is with Southern Border's current Shang clan leader. Violent Blood Dragon Bat is with Song Zixing. It is said that Shang clan leader has already obtained the second Blood Sea inheritance. That is only an unconfirmed rumor, there is no evidence to conclude it. The elders whispered to one another. Alright, there is no need to talk about Blood Sea true inheritance. It is like searching for a needle in a haystack, all kinds of rumors are increasing day by day. My ears are already getting callous from hearing them. Supreme Grand Elder waved his hand and immediately put a stop to the discussion. He turned his gaze towards Hefeng Yang. Elder Hefeng Yang, since you brought up this method, then you shall be in charge of it. If you are able to seize the blessed land and establish your merit, the sect will not be stingy in rewarding you. Junior understands. Hefeng Yang accepted the order with a smile. Seeing Hefeng Yang gain such a lucrative task, Lei Tan felt stifled, but since it was Supreme Grand Elder who said so, he could only hide his hatred inside. However, Supreme Grand Elder added, since you are in charge of it, then Elder Feng Yang, you should hand over your one's own Wei Jiyu, right? In Feng Juji's demand, he had asked for an Immortal Jiyu. You are the person in charge of this matter, so you should be the one to settle this. Lei Tan was immediately joyous. Hefeng Yang could only accept the order with a bitter smile. Chapter 408 Fang Yuan regains consciousness. Chapter 408. Fang Yuan regains consciousness. Fang Yuan slowly opened his eyes. All he saw before him was a blur pink color. As his vision gradually returned, he saw a thin silk curtain. A light wind blew, the chimes rang, the light pink curtain slowly swayed, making it feel like a dream or illusion. Fang Yuan slowly got up from his bed. This round bed was extremely large, 40 to 50 people could fit on it. A silk blanket that was red on the bottom with golden rims was covering his body. Fang Yuan looked around and found himself in a large bedroom. There was a stove beside the bed, burning some incense. There was a fragrance that arouses people's feelings in the air. This room was made with golden brick walls, silver bricks were used on the ground. Beside the bed, the corners of the room, tables and chairs, dressing table, all of them had large amounts of pearls, agate, diamonds and all sorts of precious gems. The room was grand and elegant, luxurious and glorious, the affluence of the previous owner was emanating in the room. This was Hu Immortal's Danghun Palace. It is a gentle home. Fang Yuan commented lightly, getting down from his bed. His body shook uncontrollably, as his brain was still dizzy. Fang Yuan did not find it strange, instead he understood clearly, this was because he had forced himself too much back on Sancha Mountain. By Ningbing's betrayal, the pressure from the two factions, and he even had to scheme against the land spirit. First refining second aperture, then refine the fixed immortal travel GU in the torrential light stream. The entire process was accompanied by the mental pressure of taking a risky gamble. To Fang Yuan, be it his body or mind, they had reached their limits. When he used the fixed immortal travel GU to arrive at Danghun Mountain, Feng Jinhuang and Fang Zheng were at their limits, but so was he. Compared to them, Fang Yuan's mental pressure was greater. Spring-autumn cicada could no longer be used, and he had snatched the Hu Immortal inheritance right in front of the 10 sects. GU Immortals, he was trying to pull the teeth out of a tiger, like playing with fire, it was an extremely dangerous move. Fang Yuan was the first to ascend the mountain, and the land spirit chased the other competitors away. After Fang Yuan officially became the blessed land's owner, he ordered the land spirit to close the entire blessed land. After instructing the land spirit with a few key points, Fang Yuan relaxed at a safe area, falling asleep instantly. Just how long did I sleep? Fang Yuan shook his head. He still felt extremely tired, there was a sense of weakness coming from his soul. At the same time, his ears were buzzing, as his brain could not think as quickly as normal. It was difficult to process questions in his head. Oh no, I injured my soul. Fang Yuan's heart sank, sensing his condition was not looking good. The main reason was because of the Immortal GU refinement. Were Immortal GU so easily to refine? Many GU Immortals would suffer a backlash when making a mistake while attempting to do so, injured at best, death at worst. Fang Yuan used a mortal's body to refine an immortal GU. The main reason was because the recipe was good, originating from Renzo's tales. Secondly, the materials used were appropriate, focused on the divine travel GU. Looking from another angle, it was simply converting divine travel GU into fixed immortal travel GU. It was not like in Fang Yuan's previous life, where he used a large number of mortal GU to refine the immortal GU spring-autumn cicada. Turning from mortal to immortal, the difficulty was 100-fold. Even so, the foundation of my soul was too weak and got injured. But thankfully, this is Danghun Mountain. Thinking so, Fang Yuan's expression turned solemn, as he said lightly, "Where is the land spirit?" Swoosh, Hu Immortal land spirit appeared before him. "Master, you are finally awake." Hu Immortal lowered her head, her face was red as she looked at her feet, speaking in a meek tone. She had the appearance of a 5 to 6-year-old girl, she was cute and young. With a colorful dress, and a snow-white fox tail behind her, swaying to express her unease. "Master, when you were sleeping, I acted on my own accord and healed the injury on your left arm. I wanted to bring you clothes but what we have here are not your size." Hu Immortal land spirit reported. The clothes she mentioned was Hu Immortal's clothing, they were women's clothing, of course Fang Yuan could not fit in them. Fang Yuan frowned. "Clothing is not important, how long have I slept? During this period, did any strong enemies attack the blessed land?" Hu Immortal's eyes were large and shining, blinking. "Master, during the 7 days you were asleep, nobody attacked." Oh, Fang Yuan's eyes shone. He did not know that immortal crane sects Feng Yang defended him, blocking the assault of the other 9 sects. But he understood somewhat why no GU immortals attacked the blessed land. Hu Immortal blessed land was not like the 3 kings blessed land on Sancha Mountain. This blessed land was still very young, it had a land spirit and ample immortal essence storage, and even Danghun Mountain as the core protection of the blessed land. These 3 elements made Hu Immortal blessed land as secure as a fortress. Most GU immortals had no way to force their way in. How hard was it to attack this blessed land? Fang Yuan knew most clearly. 500 years into his past life, he allied with almost 10 demonic GU immortals, invading this place. Eventually, he had a narrow victory, only he and Song Zhang were left. Song Zhang was the son of Song Zixing, a rising star of the demonic path. He has not been born yet. Back then, I was already a senior of the demonic path. Song Zhang inherited his father's inheritance, gaining great strength and was able to fight with me for tens of rounds without a winner emerging, causing him to rise to fame from that battle. Thinking of his past life, being used as a stepping stone for this junior Song Zhang, Fang Yuan snickered continuously. Everything's changed now. I'll find a chance to kill Song Zixing, hee, let's see how you'll come into this world. Song Zixing had one part of the Blood Sea inheritance, it was the ancient desolate beast violent blood dragon bat. This dragon bat is not a GU worm, it can be captured and taken away. With the violent blood dragon bat, I will gain an endless number of blood bats. Manipulating blood bats was one of my greatest skill in my previous life. Of course, that is a plan for the future. Now, I have to rely on this blessed land to cultivate quickly, getting back to my GU immortal stage. Thinking so, Fang Yuan thought of an important question. Land spirit, how long more till the next earthly calamity? Master, I was about to inform you if you did not ask me. Right now, the blessed land has already endured 5 earthly calamities, the 6th is a year and 3 months away. Hu Immortal's voice was filled with anxiety and worry. What, a year and 3 months? Fang Yuan jumped up from his bed, unable to sit any longer, his face turning grim. Everything exists in balance, heaven is impartial. Strength comes with weakness, blessing comes with calamities. Blessed lands have calamities and tribulations, an earthly calamity every 10 years, and a heavenly tribulation every 100 years. Not mentioning the heavenly tribulation but just the earthly calamity, once it occurs, the might is overwhelming, often causing great disasters. If the blessed land cannot endure it, they will face destruction. Fang Yuan had a blessed land in his previous life, he was extremely clear of the danger of his current situation. To a blessed land, every earthly calamity is a strict test. Earthly calamities get stronger than the one before. Hu Immortal died in the 5th, and Fang Yuan was about to face the even stronger 6th calamity. There are only a year and 3 months left to the earthly calamity. Why was it not mentioned in Feng Jinhuang's biography? That's right, she is a disciple of Spirit Affinity House, her parents are both GU immortals, with their help, it is not hard to block the earthly calamity. But to me, this is a grave situation. The sixth calamity is coming too quickly. Even with Fang Yuan's experience, he would not have time to make ample preparations. Other than that, he still had to guard against external enemies. Under everyone's watchful eye, I snatch to Immortal blessed land. Although the 10 sects have not made a move, they are surely waiting to pounce on me. I understand now, the 10 sects are waiting for the earthly calamity, and want to make use of it. Once the earthly calamity descends, the land spirit will have to face it with everything she had. She would not have time to take care of this master. Fang Yuan was still rank 4 upper stage, he was easy to target. Once he dies, the blessed land would be ownerless, and the land spirit will have to find a new master. If the earthly calamity causes a huge loophole, GU masters outside would be able to enter at will. If the 10 sects find trouble, then it would add on to his problems, and the situation would certainly turn deadly. Fang Yuan's gaze shone, because his soul was injured, it caused his head to hurt. He rearranged his scattered thoughts, and breathed out deeply, deciding, I'll take a look at the situation, make the best preparations for this earthly calamity. If I fail, I will give up the blessed land and order it to self-destruct, not giving the righteous path any resources for free, then escape using fixed immortal travel GU. Although the blessed land was good, how could it compare to his safety? With such a thought, Fang Yuan called the land spirit to bring him outside. He needed to know more about the blessed land now. Yes, land spirit nodded obediently, but hesitantly added, Master, you do not like clothes. Actually, wearing nice clothing would make one feel more energized, and you will feel happier too. Fang Yuan, the dresses in Danghun Palace was not for Fang Yuan to wear. But he had stored some spare clothing inside the two-seated flower. After changing into a black robe, Fang Yuan followed the land spirit, going up on the stairs and reaching the mountain peak. Danghun Montaigne's winds were very strong. But land spirit waved her hand, and it turned into a soothing breeze. Master, this blessed land has 4,000 square kilometers of land. The flow of time is 5 times. The 4,000 square kilometers of land is mostly grassland. The grass is made up of blue degree grass, water chestnut grass, and 6 divine grass primarily. There are also 7 treasure flowers and milk tea flowers, etc. The land spirit introduced as she drew a virtual image, floating in the air for Fang Yuan to see. In the image, there was a classic grassland, with all sorts of colors, like a grass carpet right before him. The blue and poisonous blue degree grass, the chestnut-shaped water chestnut grass, 6 divine grass which looked like 6 thin leaves with the feeling of jade. And also the 7-colored 7 treasure flower, the cup-shaped milk tea flower filled with nectar that were like milk tea. With these 7 as the main, there were also a lot of weed and wild flowers. Fang Yuan looked as he nodded. Do not look down on these grass and flowers, they are cultivation resources. These 7 types of grass and flowers were GU refinement ingredients. Some of the flowers and grass even has wild GU worms. With 4,000 square kilometers worth of land, compared to Earth, that was 1.5 Hong Kong added together. How many GU would there be in total? These wild GU worms were extremely easy to catch. With just a command from Fang Yuan, the land spirit would be able to capture them intact and hand it over to Fang Yuan. Chapter 409 Managing the Blessed Land. Chapter 409 Managing the Blessed Land. Fang Yuan asked, then how many GU are there in the Blessed Land now? The Immortal land spirit raised her head by a bit. At present, there are over 860,000 rank 1 GU, with about 52 types of them. Over 130,000 rank 2 GU, with 48 types. 5,000 rank 3 GU, with 12 types. Only over 60 rank 4 GU, with 8 types. And only 1 rank 5 GU, fox skin GU. After Immortal died, her obsession did not disappear and combined with this land's heavenly power to form into an unusual existence known as the land spirit. In some way, it could be said to be a continuation of her life. Thus, the land spirit was the representative of this blessed land and was clear about everything in the blessed land. As Fang Yuan had become the master of the blessed land now, everything in the blessed land was his. Over 860,000 rank 1 GU, 130,000 rank 2 GU, these two combined meant nearly 1 million GU worms. Fang Yuan recalled the time in Qingmao Mountain, those days where he had to scheme and fight for 2 to 3 rank 1 and rank 2 GU. A blessed land could only be created by a GU immortal, it was the foundation of their wealth, a heavenly estate. Just this immortal blessed land alone could supply for a super clan. There would not be any problem to put 5 or 6 small mid-sized clans like GUU clan here. As for the GU worms in the blessed land, their quantity sharply decreased at rank 3. Rank 4 GU worms did not reach 100 and there was only one rank 5 GU. This situation was also natural. It was the same with GU masters. Rank 1 and rank 2 GU masters were extremely common, rank 3 were already rare, rank 4 were even fewer, and only 1 or 2 rank 5 GU masters might appear among a million people. This was a pyramid distribution, the quantity reduces the higher you go, and the ones who occupied the top were extremely few in numbers. This blessed land is still young and with appropriate managing, the quantity of the GU worms will still increase. Reaching 10 million rank 1 and 2 GU will not be difficult. But whether I can raise them properly or not, it depends on the types and quantity of the rank 4 and rank 5 GU. Fang Yuan calculated. Mortal GU masters would usually only raise 5 or 6 GU, while GU immortals could raise a million or even 10 million GU worms. The difference between the two is as far as the clouds were from the mud. These GU being raised in immortal blessed land could only be considered passable. On one hand, the numbers were little, being only about a million. On another hand, the GU were not elites. From the introduction Fang Yuan got, they were all ordinary GU. If they were changed to GU like liquor worm or breath concealment GU, their value would be much higher. Even the rank 5 fox skin GU was an extremely common defensive GU, it was effective against wind and water path GU worms, but was difficult to use in complex battlefield. Fang Yuan did not even take a look at it. The thing that really moved him was the time in the blessed land. Time flowed 5 times faster in immortal blessed land. That is to say, 1 day in the outside world would mean 5 days here. This meant Fang Yuan's cultivation speed would be 5 times faster in the blessed land. He could cultivate for a year and 3 months here when only 3 months would have passed in the outside world. With this, Fang Yuan's cultivation speed would surpass most GU masters and he would have greater initiative for his future plans. Naturally, there was a huge disadvantage to this. Fang Yuan's lifespan was only about 100 years, thus with this, he would age 5 times faster as well. The land spirit continued with the introduction. At present, there are about 1,000 groups of fox living here: red fox, golden fox, cloud fox, wind fox, autumn fox, flowing light fox, and so on. The 3 largest groups of foxes each has about 800,000 foxes. Altogether, there are about 4,700,000 foxes. Fang Yuan quietly listened to it and nodded his head. 3 groups of myriad foxes meant 3 myriad beast kings. The development of the beasts in the blessed land had still not reached a level of creating a beast emperor. The classification of beasts was simple. From low to high, they were 100 beast king, 1000 beast king, myriad beast king and beast emperor. For example, Ba Huang and Ying Ming of 3 kings' inheritance were 2 beast emperors with battle strength that could match rank 5 GU masters. They were able to temporarily obstruct Mo Wutian and Xiaomang's advance. There are a lot of fox groups, but unfortunately they are all common foxes and not mutated beasts. Fang Yuan inwardly evaluated. Ordinary beasts' worth naturally could not compare with mutated beasts. Examples would be comparing boar and thunder boar, green bull and kunlun bull, wild dog and lion mastiff. Above the mutated beasts were desolate beasts. Above desolate beasts were ancient desolate beasts and immemorial desolate beasts. Song Zizing's violent blood dragon bat was an ancient desolate beast, one of the 9 true inheritances of ancestor blood sea. Immemorial desolate beasts were recorded in less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than, an example would be the 9-tailed fox. Raising a 9-tailed fox in immortal blessed land is but a dream. Even raising an ancient desolate beast is impossible. If it is ordinary desolate beasts like hurricane fox or phoenix wings fox, raising 1 or 2 of them could be feasible but it would greatly depend on luck. Fang Yuan continued to consider. Since he had obtained immortal blessed land, his plans after rebirth had reached a whole new level, thus he had to revise and modify them. At this time, Jia clan's internal strife should have already stirred like a wildfire and he would not be able to participate in it. He also could not participate in the great battle of Yitian Mountain. Fang Yuan intended to make full use of this immortal blessed land and cultivate to the realm of GU Immortal. This meant that he not only had to resist the continuous earthly calamities but also had to manage the blessed land. Currently, the GU worms were barely passable and the foxes might be ordinary but they had the potential to grow. Actually, there were a lot more fox groups in the blessed land. At least, 3 times more than the present. But the second earthly calamity caused a meteor fire rain that smashed the blessed land's east area into ruins, burning hundreds of thousands of foxes to death. The dark flames of that time have not been extinguished even now. The fourth earthly calamity was a huge flood that submerged most of the grassland of the Blessed Land's northern area, killing many more foxes. Thus, there are only this many remaining at present. The land spirit pursed her pink lips, her eyes revealing fear and panic as she talked about the earth calamity. At the same time, she waved her small hand and smoke flew to the air, showing the scenes of the eastern and northern parts of the Blessed Land. Fang Yuan could see. The eastern part was a scene of ruin with dust and smoke pervading the whole place. There were meteoric craters all over the place, and black flames were burning around the craters. The flames burned without emitting the least bit of sound, but this manifested an even more terrifying aura. And the northern part was a scene of vast clear water. Dark clouds rumbled in the air and rain fell endlessly. The surging water emitted bleak and gloomy sound. There were bits of grass and destroyed flowers, along with fox corpses floating on the water. These are the dark flame meteor and clouded white sea calamities. Seeing such a bleak scene, Fang Yuan could not help feeling gloomy. The might of an earthly calamity was extremely strong, moreover there were countless types of calamity, and were simply impossible to plan against. Every 10 years, the earthly calamity would pose a destructive threat towards the Blessed Land. Immortal defended for 5 times before losing her life. And the devastation the previous earthly calamities left were still there and had not been cured. This was a really bad news to Fang Yuan. Immortal Blessed Land has an area of 4,000 square kilometers, but northern and eastern areas were gone, causing the loss of over 1,300 square kilometers of area. Such loss was truly disastrous. I must settle these 2 problems. Apart from anything else, a lot of immortal essence will be used in order to suppress the burning black flames and the spreading flood. Fang Yuan mumbled in a soft voice. However, following immediately, Immortal Land Spirit mentioned an even worse news. Master, the biggest trouble is here. Look, this is what was left from the 5th earthly calamity. She waved her hand and the image changed to show a different scene. Fang Yuan saw a scene of scorched black prairie, and a human figure formed from blue lightning was sitting cross-legged on the ground. Its physique was not big and looked quite alluring, however it was formed purely from lightning. The glorious blue light let out an extremely terrifying might. Human-shaped lightning, this is the earth calamity, blue charm lightning shadow. Fang Yuan drew in a cold breath. This human-shaped lightning was one of the earth calamities, it was extremely strong and could match a rank 6 GU Immortal. Fang Yuan looked at this scene and immediately realized the killer that killed Immortal was probably this blue charm lightning shadow. Immortal was an enslavement path GU master who controlled fox groups. Enslavement path was strong but also weak, and could very easily be subdued by beheading the leader tactics. Although there were many fox groups, they could not obstruct blue charm lightning shadow. In the end, Immortal had to fight the lightning figure in close combat and lost her life. Damn it, how could there be this lightning shadow in this blessed land? Fang Yuan's expression turned extremely unsightly. He had ways to slowly settle the previous 2 troubles. However, this human-shaped lightning was already beyond his current ability. Master, you need to be careful when you roam around later, this human-shaped lightning strolls randomly around the Blessed Land. Only Danghun Mountain, it dares not approach. The land spirit's pink and delicate face was bathed in the image of the blue lightning, her voice slightly shaky. This lightning is an earth calamity but is also a type of living thing. Since it is a living thing, it has a soul and thus if it approaches Danghun Mountain, its soul will receive shockwaves until it turns to ashes. Fang Yuan had already settled his mind now. Maybe I can use Danghun Mountain to settle this lightning shadow. But how can I lure it? Fang Yuan's thoughts took a turn, however the next instant the buzzing noise echoed in his ears again. He shook his head and did not continue thinking. Are there any other bad news? Tell them all at once. He gave a bitter smile and asked the land spirit. The situation was much worse than what he imagined. Immortal Blessed Land was in imminent crisis, whether it was the internal worries or external aggression, they were both very grave. As for Feng Jinhuang, with GU Immortal parents and also the help of Spirit Affinity House, she naturally did not need to worry about these things. But Fang Yuan was just a lone force. Naturally, there were benefits that only a lone force could have. In the biography of Feng Jinhuang, it was recorded Feng Jinhuang had to offer a large amount of resources to her sect after obtaining the Blessed Land. The land spirit shook her small head. She had already reported the worst situations, remaining were all good news. First of all, in the southern area of the Blessed Land lived a tribe of rockmen. Rockman was a type of variant humans who lived underground and ate ore as food. This news was an unexpected surprise to Fang Yuan. Secondly, there was abundant immortal essence in Immortal Blessed Land. The land spirit brought Fang Yuan to the palace in Danghun Mountain. In the deepest parts of the palace was an enormous golden bowl which was filled with green immortal essence. Besides the green liquid in the bowl, most of the immortal essence had automatically congealed into a ball. At first glance, it looked like a grape. This was something only rank 6 GU immortals had, green grape immortal essence. Each green grape immortal essence pearl contained immortal essence that was much more than the immortal essence in the Three Kings' blessed land. With this immortal essence, there is still quite a bit of hope. Fang Yuan finally breathed in relief. Chapter 410 Danghun Mountain's Gutstone. Chapter 410 Danghun Mountain's Gutstone. Fang Yuan counted, the golden bowl had 78 pieces of green grape immortal essence. Adding in the layer of blue-green immortal liquid essence at the bottom of the bowl, it amounted to 78 pieces and a half. There was ample immortal essence, 100 times that of the Three Kings' blessed land. Fang Yuan took out one bead of green grape immortal essence, holding it in his hand, willing and summoning Fixed Immortal Travel GU. Fixed Immortal Travel GU was like jade, a meticulously crafted butterfly. It was brilliant and elegant, flying over smoothly. Fang Yuan's face paled as his body shook, cold sweat emerging on his body as his vision turned dark. If he was not holding on to the golden railing at the side, he would have fallen. Master, be careful, your soul injury was severe, do not summon an immortal GU so carelessly, otherwise you would fall into another coma. Little Who Immortal shouted, her tone anxious and her expression concerned. No worry, I know. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth, waving his hand as he spread his palm for Fixed Immortal Travel GU to land. Fixed Immortal Travel GU sensed the green grape immortal essence's aura and fluttered its wings, gliding in the air and landing in Fang Yuan's palm. Next, it laid down on the green grape immortal essence and slowly consumed it. Fixed Immortal Travel's name contained an immortal word that was not for show. Its food was immortal essence. A moment later, one green grape immortal essence was expended. GU Masters refine GU, use GU, and nurture GU. After Fang Yuan succeeded in its refinement, he had not fed the Fixed Immortal Travel GU yet. He slept for 7 days and 7 nights, the Fixed Immortal Travel GU was starving and its lustrous wings had dimmed. This was Fang Yuan's first feeding session for it. After Fixed Immortal Travel GU had its fill, it spread its wings and flew in the air. The bright green light appeared again, like dust particles in the air. Every time it flapped its wings, it would be a beautiful light show. The unique aura of an immortal GU continued to radiate. Immortal GU are expensive to feed. Fixed Immortal Travel GU consumes an entire piece of immortal essence every time. But after this, I would not need to feed it for 6 years. The higher the rank of the GU worm, the heavier the cost to feed it, but the interval between each feeding session would increase greatly as well. Rank 1 and 2 GU worms needed to be fed every few days. Rank 4 were fed one a few months. Rank 5 were fed every 1 or 2 years, and each time they ate, it would be extremely expensive. After feeding Fixed Immortal Travel GU, Fang Yuan left it alone to roam Danghun Palace, as long as it did not leave Danghun Mountain and get killed by that lightning shadow. At this moment, Fang Yuan's aperture was still rank 4 upper stage, it could not contain a perfectly healthy immortal GU. The reason he could keep Spring-Autumn Cicada was because it was too weak. Other than that, it was also his vital GU. Problems are classified into important and trivial. After understanding his situation, Fang Yuan confirmed that he was safe for the time being. After settling Fixed Immortal Travel GU's matter, he had to fix his soul's injury next. Let's go, Little Who Immortal, go find the Gutstones with me. Yes, Land Spirit answered quickly. Master, you should have done this long ago, come with me. Little Who Immortal brought Fang Yuan to Danghun Mountain. The two moved on the uneven mountain rocks. Fang Yuan's body was swaying, causing the Land Spirit to feel worried. Master, shall I teleport you over? Teleport for what? We have to save immortal essence. Fang Yuan stared with wide eyes. Little Who Immortal stuck out her tongue, frightened by Fang Yuan's words, thinking, this master is so domineering, even if he is injured, he is still so scary. Master, there is a gutstone here. After walking for a while, Land Spirit stopped and pointed at a rock below her feet, shouting. This stone was like a person's gallstone, it grew on the mountain rocks, having mixed colors. If one did not look properly, they would think it was an ordinary stone. Fang Yuan quickly walked over, squatting down and smashing this gutstone with his hand. Once the stone shattered, a GU flew out and turned into a gray eerie light, entering Fang Yuan's body. Fang Yuan felt his brain turning clear, a new type of strength had entered his soul, and the buzzing in his ears had lessened. Danghun Mountain could shook souls, it was the death grounds of all living beings. It was only because of the land spirit's suppression that Fang Yuan could move around with ease. But Danghun Mountain was not a simple death ground. The souls of living beings break into pieces on the mountain, scattering and fusing with the mountain. As time passes, gutstones are formed. And in some gutstones, guts Gu are found, it could strengthen a person's soul. This is like how the resting place of a poisonous snake has the herbs to create an antidote. All living beings compete, and the world is fair, where there is life, there is death. Danghun Mountain might look like an absolute death ground, but a chance of survival was hidden in it. But this guts Gu can only exist for an instant, after that, it would either disperse or be broken down by Danghun Mountain again. Although the land spirit can suppress the mountain, the gutstones cannot be moved, they can only be used on the spot. Thus, Fang Yuan had to go there himself and walk around Danghun Mountain. After being rejuvenated by this guts Gu, Fang Yuan was like a thirsty traveler in the desert getting a mouthful of fresh water. He continued on his way, and with this land spirit acting as a dutiful guide, they found another dozen gutstones, smashing them open one by one. Thus, Fang Yuan gained another 8 guts Gu to replenish his soul. Not only did his injuries heal completely, it even improved compared to before. Ha ha ha, with this Danghun Mountain, I have a mountain of gutstones. As long as I continue to consume guts Gu, one day, the foundation of my soul will reach a stage where no one has ever gotten to. Standing at the mountain waist, Fang Yuan became spirited as he laughed loudly. Immortal was a lucky person, because of an opportunity, she managed to obtain Danghun Mountain, like she won lottery, and moved it into her blessed land. But she was an extremely unlucky person, dying during the 5th earthly calamity. If it was not for the blue charm lightning shadow, she would eventually become the strongest enslavement path expert. Unfortunately, Immortal only had Danghun Mountain, but did not manage to use it for herself. But fortunately, this Danghun Mountain is mine now. The most valuable part of Immortal blessed land was this Danghun Mountain. Of course, the soul could not be strengthened endlessly with guts Gu. Once the soul was not concentrated enough, using large numbers of guts Gu would cause it to overinflate and trigger a certain death disaster. But Fang Yuan had his 500 years of experience, all his ups and downs after rebirth, constantly struggling at death's door, his soul was already tempered like steel. Keeping calm at the face of death, a heart of ice at impending doom. To Fang Yuan, a few hundred guts Gu was no problem at all. There were a lot of benefits and implications in having a strong soul foundation. Be it refining Gu or enslaving beasts, it would make it much easier. Other than these, once the soul becomes stronger, Fang Yuan would not have to worry about killer moves like Mo Wu Tian's purple eyes. Danghun Mountain is a forbidden ground, first appearing in less than legends of Ren Zhu greater than. Legend says that verdant great sun flew towards the sky, and ended plunging to his death. Ren Zhu, as his father, was extremely upset after receiving the news, finding Wisdom Gu for an explanation. It was Wisdom Gu who taught verdant great sun to drink, causing the series of events thereafter. Wisdom Gu quickly said, Ren Zhu, oh Ren Zhu, don't find trouble with me. Although your son died, it is not impossible to revive him. As long as you enter the door of life and death, and led him towards the road of life, walking under the sunlight, he would be revived. Ren Zhu was shocked, before becoming overjoyed, and then extremely furious. He grabbed Wisdom Gu and questioned, Wisdom Gu, oh Wisdom Gu, do you still think I am that ignorant boy from before? The door of life and death is a dangerous place, once I enter I will never be able to leave. After harming my son, you want to kill me too? Wisdom Gu quickly said, other living beings do not know the secret of the door of life and death, thus they cannot leave. But I can teach you all of these secrets. You are a living person, to enter the door of life and death, you have to enter from the road of death. This road is extraordinary, it was the road left behind by Destiny Gu when it left Fairness Gu. The road left behind was called Path of Destiny. There are many suffering Gu inside the path of life, you have to enter from the road of death, and you need to own courage Gu. That way, you will not fear the torture of suffering. When you enter the door of life and death, and see Fairness Gu, you are already dead. But at the same time, you will see your eldest son, Verdant Great Sun's soul. You will bring him away, and go out from another road, the road of life. Road of life was the path treaded on by Destiny Gu when it visited Fairness Gu, it is also called the Path of Destiny. But during this path, you will meet 3 obstacles. One is Danghun Mountain, another is called Luopo Valley, and lastly the Reverse Flow River. To climb past Danghun Mountain, you have to smash the gutstones on it, and obtain Guts Gu's help. To get past Luopo Valley, you need to find Faith Jiu to help. To get through the reverse flow river, you have to move forward continuously, not stopping for even a second during the process. Renzu heard Wisdom Gu's words and let it go. He quickly found Faith Jiu. Ever since he became blind, Faith Gu's light was the only light he could see. Oh Renzu, I can feel your determination in getting back your eldest son. I am willing to help you, but I urge you not to give up on this goal. Because when you give up, I will leave you for good. Faith Jiu said with concern. Renzu found Courage Jiu next. Courage Jiu and Hope Jiu were good companions. Renzu had Hope Jiu, and thus saw Courage Jiu occasionally. He had a decent relationship with it. After getting Courage Gu's help, Renzu came to the door of life and death, entering the road of death. The road of death was pure darkness. The large number of suffering Jiu were like yellow fireflies, swarming towards Renzu. At this time, Courage Jiu shone brightly, chasing away the suffering Jiu for Renzu. Courage was needed to face death. Renzu succeeded in going down, his body turned whiter as it turned hollow, gradually turning into a ghost. He could see again. When he got to the end of the road, amidst the calm darkness, he saw Fairness Jiu. He was extremely shocked by Fairness Gu's huge body, exclaiming, "You are Fairness Jiu. Why is your body so huge? A mountain is a speck of dust compared to you. The sea is like a droplet compared to you." Fairness Gu's voice was grand. Life and death are the greatest fairness in this world. When I am inside the door of life and death, my body will become enormous. Oh Renzu, you are here for your son, right? Feel free to go, he is right there. Chapter 411 Great Future Plans. Chapter 411 Great Future Plans. Renzu was overjoyed upon seeing his son and ran towards him. Verdant Great Son had turned into a white ghost and was lying beside a lake, scooping out the water with a bowl and drinking it. The water was like wine with its fragrance pervading the area. Verdant Great Son drank it with utmost satisfaction. My son, don't drink any more. Come, let's go back. Renzu walked towards Verdant Great Son and shouted. Esteemed father, how did you come here? This is great, let's drink together. Verdant Great Son opened his hazy eyes and looked at Renzu. Renzu seized the wine bowl from him and said with exasperation, don't drink any more, you only know how to drink wine. Everyone knows there is a bewitching lake in the land of the dead, and its water is the bewitching soup. When ghosts drink it, they become muddle-headed and lose the desire to leave. Verdant Great Son, however, refuted, Father, you are wrong. This is not the bewitching soup, it is the soul-calming wine. It can calm down your soul and remove all the impurities, your soul will no longer be restless and you will experience utmost tranquility in your heart. This is one of the best quality wines in this world. I don't care what wine it is, you have to follow me back. Renzu pulled Verdant Great Son's hand, but found Verdant Great Son was as heavy as a mountain and could not be budged. Verdant Great Son shook his head. Some people, upon death, will be as heavy as a mountain. Some people, upon death, will be light as a feather. Father, I had reputation Gu in my life and died after bathing in the light of glory. When I arrived here, my body had become heavier than a mountain, I cannot even walk a single step and can only lie down here. What? Renzu immediately felt gloomy and anxiously shouted, I told you before, a tall tree attracts the wind, reputation is not always a good thing. Throw away the reputation Gu. Verdant Great Son shook his head and sighed, we were not born with fame and fortune, we also cannot take them with us after death. After I died, reputation Gu left me. It is fixed immortal travel Gu that has accompanied me. Fixed immortal travel Gu could bring Verdant Great Son's soul out of the door of life and death or even bring him to any place in the outside world. However, Verdant Great Son could only truly resurrect after walking through the path of life. What do we do now? Renzu realized he had been played by Wisdom Gu. Although he had arrived at the deepest part of the door of life and death, a death domain that had endless darkness, and has also found Verdant Great Son, he discovered he could not bring back his son. At this moment, Fairness Gu spoke. Oh Renzu, do you still not understand? There are only two paths in door of life and death, both appeared because of destiny Gu. Life and death is determined by destiny. All living beings live and thus die, this is the cycle that allows the universe to continue existing. Your eldest son Verdant Great Son died, this is destiny and you should accept it. Moreover, he is living a good life here, Obsession Death Domain is the world's most tranquil place. He is drinking the world's supreme quality wine and is free from all the worries of the outside world, do you know how blissful this is? Ren Zhu stood there and looked at his flesh and blood for a while before heaving a deep sigh. He knew he could not bring back his son's soul, at least it was like that for now. He bid farewell to the fairness Ji and also his son, and left the obsession death domain. He stepped on another path this time. It was the path of life which went from darkness to light. However, Ren Zhu soon realized walking this path was countless times more difficult than when he walked in through the path of death. There were many more suffering Ji on path of life than path of death. When Ren Zhu had walked through the path of death, his journey became smoother along the way and the suffering Ji lesser the further he walked. But as he walked through the path of life, there was not only more suffering Ji, but every step he took would cause much more suffering Ji to fly over and obstruct him. Courage Ji could not resist them any longer. Ren Zhu, there are too many suffering Ji and they will continue to increase. There is peace in death, but life has endless suffering. Go to Danghun Mountain quickly and break some gut stones. If you want to survive, just relying on courage won't be enough, you need guts too. Ren Zhu hurried forward to Danghun Mountain and picked the guts Ji while enduring the tremors in his soul. With Guts Gu's help, his soul strengthened greatly, and although he still suffered the tremors, it was not of much worry. He passed through Danghun Mountain and arrived at Luopo Valley. Luopo Valley was a maze with winding and twisted paths. Occasionally, there were a large area of bewilderment fog which could cause the soul to loosen, and occasionally, Luopo wind would blow through and cut apart the soul. Ren Zhu had fallen into the lowest part of my life and could not distinguish the directions. Because his soul was strengthened by Guts Gu, it was loosening in the bewilderment fog at a slower speed. The loosened soul was cut apart by the Luopo wind. Ren Zhu almost completely lost his way, but fortunately at this time, Faith Gu flew out and shone upon his path. Ren Zhu was able to walk out of the Luopo Valley with only the essence of his soul remaining. He let out a huge breath of relief and could feel he was close to success. He walked to the reverse-flowing river. This was the final barrier in the path of life. It was extremely difficult to move against the stream. Endless suffering pushed upon him, causing him to make very slow progress. However, he forcibly persevered and walked towards the light. Almost there, he looked at the success that was just ahead of him. Only one final step remained. He let out a breath of turbid air and relaxed. Forgetting the warning of the wisdom Gu, he stopped. This brief pause caused Ren Zhu to be washed away by the river. Life was not easy. It was like a boat moving against the flow of the river. If you do not continue moving forward, you will be pushed back. Ren Zhu was washed away by the river into the depths of Luopo Valley. He was so tired he could not budge a bit and was trapped in the Luopo Valley. Fang Yuan broke the final gut stone and groaned in satisfaction. Right now, he felt very comfortable. The heavy injuries in his soul were already completely recovered and moreover, his soul had even strengthened by 5 times. A feeling of power burst out from the depths of his heart. This feeling did not come from the strengthening of his physical body but from the vigor of his spirits. Fang Yuan had a feeling he could do anything easily, whether it was analyzing problems or doing multiple tasks. Unfortunately, there are only over 100 gutstones on Danghun Mountain and not all of them contained Guts Gu. Fang Yuan felt some regret. When Immortal obtained Danghun Mountain, it had already changed hands several times and was completely looted. Immortal moved it to the Blessed Land and managed it for decades. Almost every year, she would send large amounts of foxes to their deaths at Danghun Mountain, using their soul to irrigate the mountain and create gutstones. However, these gutstones were almost all used by the Immortal. After she died, these over 100 gutstones had slowly grown over close to 8 years and now were completely used by Fang Yuan. According to the Immortal land spirit's description, close to 10,000 foxes needed to be sacrificed to grow a gutstone. The stronger the beast kings that died, the more gutstones would be produced. Fang Yuan could not adopt this method. When the Blessed Land was at its prime, it was inevitable and all right for Immortal to do so. However, the Blessed Land was very weak now and the fox groups had decreased by a large amount. Killing these fox groups was not sensible for long-term prospects. With his soul injuries recovered, Fang Yuan started quietly thinking his future plans without relaxing the slightest bit. Obtaining the Immortal Blessed Land was no doubt a huge help to his plans, but at the same time also greatly affected his plans. Now, with Danghun Mountain in my possession, my soul's foundation can continue to strengthen. And from my previous life, I have experience and insight in controlling the blood bats. Such enormous advantage should be used. Walking the enslavement path is an obvious choice now. However, there is also a disadvantage in enslavement path in that the enslavement path GU masters can be easily assaulted and beheaded. So I cannot relax in my strength path cultivation as well. With this, Fang Yuan was going to walk on both strength and enslavement paths, organizing and feeding 2 sets of GU worms. If it was before, it would be difficult for Fang Yuan to do this. But now, with Hu Immortal blessed land, it would be no problem. The perfect outcome is to refine second aperture GU. With second aperture, I could divide the sets of enslavement and strength path into different apertures without disturbing each other. At the same time, there would be enough primeval essence to control the 2 sets of GU worms. At that time, with a wave of his hand, a huge army of beasts and insects would cover the sky and earth, creating a river of blood in a blink of an eye, creating destruction and mayhem. If there was any foolish person who tried to use the tactic of beheading the leader, then Fang Yuan's strength path cultivation would make them realize how cruel reality was and why flowers were red. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan took out the second aperture GU from his aperture. This GU was like a peanut shell, shining with golden light, the patterns on its surface were scarlet veins of blood. This was the embryo form of the second aperture GU, formed from combining false GU and lifespan GU. It could survive for 40 years. There are enough immortal essence to truly refine the second aperture GU. 2/3 watch GU can also be easily obtained, but I still require divine travel GU. Fang Yuan pondered. Immortal GU were unique, only one immortal GU of the same type could exist in the world. Divine travel GU was already transformed into fixed immortal travel GU and no longer existed now. This allowed a new divine travel GU to appear in the world. Moreover, there was an extraordinary advantage of divine travel GU, it could be easily obtained. It was not like the other immortal GU that were so hard to capture. The legends of Renzu had written it clearly, as long as one drank the 4 top quality wines of the world, divine travel GU could condense into being in their body. Apart from the wine brewed by the wild beasts and those that were naturally formed, humans' brewing techniques had flourished continually, and now the amount of top quality wines were much more than the ancient times. Searching for the 4 top quality wines might be somewhat troublesome, but could be done by spending some time. Fang Yuan had the blessed land and the assistance of the little Hu Immortal land spirit. But the main problem did not lie here. Because divine travel GU could be easily obtained, others could also easily take advantage of it. In case someone else obtained divine travel GU, no matter how much top quality wines Fang Yuan drank, he would not obtain the divine travel GU. Southern Borders Fei clan possess a top quality wine Zhuang Si Fei. Eastern Seas rank 7 GU immortal Zui Xian Weng has created a sea of wine, concealing countless wines, and holds a wine reception every year. Northern Plains Imperial Court has the long life wine. These great forces or maybe other GU immortals as well could be in possession of 1 or 2 top quality wine, their chances of obtaining divine travel GU is much greater than mine. With this calculation, Fang Yuan not only had to resist the earthly calamity and manage the blessed land, he also had to quickly gather the 4 top quality wine and refine second aperture GU. However, these are not all, the crucial point lies in spring-autumn cicada. Time is flowing 5 times faster here, spring-autumn cicada's recovery speed will also become extremely quick. Being able to rebirth 3 times is already an extremely good luck, I cannot gamble on luck the 4th time. Before spring-autumn cicada recovers, I need to have success at first attempt GU, immediate success GU, smooth success GU or any of the others. Fang Yuan did not have enough strength before. Now, he had the blessed land and abundant resources, he could try to get these GU already. Chapter 412 I like your fear. Chapter 412, I like your fear. Hu Immortal blessed land, Southern District. Yan Yang, wake up quickly. Stop sleeping, you've slept for 3 years already. A voice woke Yan Yang up from his sleep. A lump of gray stones with a mossy surface started to vibrate, as the tremors intensified, causing the dust to disperse. From the large oval stone, 4 limbs and a head appeared like the blossoming of a flower. Next, a gray rock man stood up. Yan Yang woke up from his sleep. Grandpa. Yan Yang opened his eyes, looking at the rock man who woke him up. It was his 800-year-old grandpa, the leader of the Wei Shi tribe. Grandpa, why did you wake me up? I want to sleep for another 2 to 3 years. Yan Yang sighed, begrudging. Rockmen love to sleep. When they sleep, they curled into a ball, forming a large oval stone. Each sleeping session lasts 7 to 8 years. Stop sleeping, my grandson, you are already 180 years old. Your father died earlier, and I cannot live much longer. In a few decades, you will be our Wei Shi tribe's new tribe leader. Rockmen have a long lifespan, generally 1,000 years to live. Ordinary humans could barely live for 100 years, but Yan Yang was 180, and had just reached adulthood. Grandpa, I do not want to be tribe leader. After becoming leader, I will not have time to sleep casually anymore. Yan Yang pouted, but saw his grandpa staring angrily, and chose to shut up. Wei Shi tribe leader chided, why haven't you grown up? You slept for so many years in vain. Quickly pack up, and clean the moss off you, pull off all the weed that had grown on you. Bring the offerings with you and go with grandpa to the ground, we have to meet the immortal, we cannot be disrespectful. Ah, it is time to pay offerings to the immortal again. But I remember there is still a year left. Yan Yang said as he plucked the weed off him. After sleeping for so many years, his armpits, his groin, and back all had lots of weed. Especially the black thread grass in his groin area, they were hard as steel and curly. Every time he plucked one, Yan Yang felt great pain. Sigh, there is a problem this time. The immortal changed, this immortal came not too long ago, he is calling for us. Old clan leader sighed and said with worry. New male immortal, I hope he is easier to speak to than that female immortal. Maybe we can discuss with him, after all, we have to contribute so much offerings every 10 years, it is taxing. The other tribe leaders and I also have this thought. On a large altar made of green rocks, Fang Yuan wore his black robe as his long black hair was let down, sitting at the main seat staring at the people below with his deep dark pupils. There were tens of rockmen kneeling below, among them, 8 were rockmen leaders, 2 gray rockmen, 3 granite rockmen, 1 iron rockman, 1 green rockman, and 1 white rockman. At the same time, there were offerings. Large amounts of ore containing gold, silver, bronze, iron, as well as other gems and jewels, GU worms etc. All sorts of metallic elements would grow on the rockmen's bodies as time passed. Fang Yuan looked at these offerings, understanding at once why Dang Hun Palace was built so luxuriously. If these were brought to Earth, they would be a huge asset, but here, their greatest use was to become GU refinement materials. Hu Immortal using these things as decoration was only her womanly love for beauty. If she could choose to exchange them for primeval stones, she would trade away all these gems and jewels without a second thought. Among the offerings, the most valuable were GU worms. But these GU were mostly rank 1 rock skin GU, rank 2 monolith GU. There was only one rank 3 GU, stone aperture GU. Fang Yuan had once used this GU, back then spring-autumn cicadas pressure on the aperture could not be relieved, thus when he was desperate, he used it. The rockmen were skilled at digging, they lived deep underground. Their food was dirt, and sometimes when they dig underground, they would discover GU worms. What did you say? You want to reduce the offerings? Fang Yuan's eyes squinted as he stood up, slowly walking down the stairs, coming towards the rockmen leaders. The rockmen were tall and huge, even when they kneeled on the ground, their shoulders were still higher than Fang Yuan's head. Esteemed Lord Immortal, our rockmen tribes have contributed so much offerings during these 30 years. During these years, the earth rumbled, the north area had floods, the east area had fires, life is difficult. These things that we managed to acquire are getting harder and harder to find. Immortal, please have mercy, and forgive our inability, reduce the offering amount by a bit. The oldest rockmen tribe leader begged. That's right, Lord Immortal, please reduce the offerings. These years, we have been decreasing in numbers. Immortal, please understand, we will never forget your kindness. The other rockmen leaders started saying. Reduce the offerings. He, of course you can. In fact, I can exempt you all from these offerings. Fang Yuan smiled kindly and warmly. The rockmen's expression were joyous. But I have a condition. Next, Fang Yuan said. I need you all to dig a river, from the north, transport the water towards the east, to stop the fire from spreading. What? Hearing this, the rockmen were shocked. Quickly, they reacted, shouting loudly. Esteemed Lord Immortal, you cannot do this. Digging a river from scratch, this is a huge project, we rockmen need sleep. Without sufficient sleep, we will die. And there is a great fire and huge amounts of water. You ask us to go dig a river, but isn't that asking us to go die? At once, everyone flew into a rage. Many young rockmen were kneeling at one corner, but hearing this, they rushed over, staring at Fang Yuan vigilantly. Master, Hu Immortal land spirit beside Fang Yuan saw this and she felt slightly worried. The rockmen had a stubborn nature, they had foolhardiness, emphasizing their pride and would not accede to demands. When they are rash, they would even attack demon venerables or immortal venerables, regardless of who the other party is. Hu Immortal was only to contain these rockmen because at the start, she had spent a lot of effort and gave them a lot of benefits. Master, these rock men do not reason with people, asking them to offer these things was already their limit. Little Hu Immortal sent her thoughts to Fang Yuan secretly, reminding him. Limit, Fang Yuan scoffed, his mouth opening as he showed his bright white teeth, laughing ruthlessly. You rock men are too insolent, you dare to bargain with me. HMPH. The place you are living at is mine. The dirt you eat is mine. The spirit spring beside your tribe is also mine. You live here, you are my slave. I want to dig a new river. That is not a request, and not a transaction, it is an order. The rockmen heard this and they all stood up, looking furious. Immortal, you don't know what's good for you, you dare to look down on us rockmen. Back then when we relocated here, it was because of a female immortal. But the environment here is getting worse, who would want to stay here anymore? You want us to dig a river, that is asking us to die. Do you think we rockmen are fools? We rockmen are born from heaven and earth, we will not be your slaves. Let's go, relocate, I've had enough of this shitty place. The rockmen leaders shouted, falling out with Fang Yuan at once. The followers they brought, the young rockmen all came forward, clenching their fists as they stared at Fang Yuan with a dangerous look. You want to leave, ha ha ha. Fang Yuan threw his head back and laughed, like he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Next, he stopped laughing, looking at these rockmen coldly, his tone was chilly. Where do you think this is? Come and go as you please. The old rules are no more, from today onwards, I am the greatest ruler, my words are heaven's will. You will abide by my rules, even if you don't want to. Ah, many young rockmen clenched their fists and howled. Immortal, you are trying to step over my tribe's baseline. Immortal, you might be strong, but we are not afraid. We rockmen will never lower our heads to brute force, we are natural warriors, we fear no death. Only love can make us dig out our hearts. Only warmth can make us lower our backs. Roar, Fang Yuan pushed with his hand and a golden dragon flew out. The golden dragon roared, killing the rockman that was screaming the loudest. Ah, he killed the granite rockmen's old tribe leader. Old tribe leader is dead, we have to get revenge. Even an immortal has to die under our tribe's fury. Granite old tribe leader's death was like the trigger, causing the rockmen's anger to erupt. The rockmen attacked Fang Yuan in waves, every step made a dent in the ground, as they gave off an impressive aura. Dozens of rockmen attacked together, giving off the disposition of a grand army of 10,000. From their bodies, numerous lights shone. There were also GU worms inhibiting these rockmen's bodies, they were activated through their will. But a moment later, these lights vanished. Little Hu Immortal struck, sealing all the GU worms. Fang Yuan snickered as he began his slaughter. The rockmen were not afraid of death, but their strength was inferior to Fang Yuan, they were all broken down into shards, dying a pathetic death. But these rock fragments gathered like magnets, forming new rockmen. Kill, resist the tyranny, take revenge for father. We are born from heaven and earth, we died you to heaven and earth, thus we have no fear. Tiny rockmen charged over, and were all slaughtered by Fang Yuan. But these rock fragments gathered into even smaller rockmen. The number of these rockmen continued to shrink, but after they were formed, they charged towards Fang Yuan and shouted things like exacting revenge for their grandpa, father etc. This was the way the rockmen reproduced. It was a male-only race. After the old rockmen dies, the soul and rocks they split into will form new rockmen, and inherit a portion of the old rockmen's memories or some important experiences. In some cases, old rockmen sleep too much and their soul foundation accumulates to a degree, they would split out a portion of their bodies to form new tiny rockmen. After Fang Yuan killed the third wave of rockmen, the world was finally silent once more. Only one rockman remained, lying on the ground, shivering. What is your name? Fang Yuan slowly walked towards him. My name is Yan Yan Yang. The young rockman stammered. Do you know why I left only you alive? Fang Yuan stood on Yan Yang's head. No, I do not know. Because you are terrified, because I like your fear and horror towards me. Fang Yuan smiled warmly. Chapter 413 A Show. Chapter 413, A Show. 3 days later, a seriously injured Yan Yang returned to his tribe and woke up all the hibernating rockmen. A male immortal is here, he is a demon, he wanted to enslave all of us. Not only this, he also wanted to take away the beautiful men of our rockmen tribe, to become his plaything. We rockmen are born of nature, free and unfettered, how could we bow our backs to such lecherous authority? We resisted at the spot. The immortal was too strong, but we rockmen were not afraid of sacrificing and fought him without fearing death. Finally, we injured him and beat him into retreat. The other tribesmen were all sacrificed and only I was able to return. I am dying, but that Immortal is still alive. Before he ran away, he said he will lead his fox army and annihilate all our rockmen tribes. Yan Yong weakly lamented, announcing a frightening information to his tribesmen. The rockmen were shocked and afraid, grieving and also furious. Some declared war, some wanted revenge, some mentioned migrating, and some wanted to discuss. They had become lost their bearings without a leader, whether it was the inheritor or the old tribe leader. They had all died at Fang Yuan's hands. There were altogether 8 tribes of rockmen, and they had fallen into chaos now. Some rockmen wanted to get the concrete details from Yan Yong, but Yan Yong's injuries were too severe, and after informing them of this grievous news, he lost consciousness. While they were still in the midst of discussing, just like Yan Yong said, waves after waves of fox groups started attacking rockmen tribes. The rockmen resisted with all their strength, but there were way too many fox groups. The situation was gradually turning grave. The 8 tribes had no choice but to lie and retreat underground to defend themselves. However, the fox groups did not let them go and repeatedly attacked the underground. The fox groups paid a disastrous price every time they attacked, but they still came endlessly. The rockmen cursed Fang Yuan. Their hatred towards him were like an inferno that could not be extinguished. The situation became worse day by day, and despair spread in the hearts of the rockmen. However, right at this time, Yan Yong woke up. Rockmen could recuperate from their injuries through sleep. His injuries had healed for the most part. He immediately led the rockmen and made beautiful counterattacks. We rockmen are a courageous group with no fear of death. Even the Immortal cannot humiliate us. Yan Yong announced to everyone and raised their morale. Don't think the Immortal is strong. He is only a paper tiger and can only send these fox groups to their death. He is already injured. At the same time, he proclaimed the injuries of the Immortal and gave hope to the rockmen. The despairing rockmen tightly grabbed onto this hope like it was a straw that could save them as they were drowning. Yan Yong changed the subject and talked about the old tribe leaders. He was injured by the combined efforts of the old tribe leaders. The sacrifice of the old tribe leaders is our greatest grief. Especially the old White Rock tribe leader. His life ended as he was in my arms. Before he died, he entrusted the whole tribe to me. I looked as his soul dispersed, and felt ashamed. Why wasn't it me who died, but him? He beat his chest as he said this, appearing to be extremely sad. Immediately, some rockmen persuaded, Lord Yan Yong, don't grieve. It is already very amazing you were able to survive and bring us the warning, even leading us towards victory. That's right, we Iron Rockmen all admire you. Since the old tribe leader entrusted the tribe to you, then please lead us White Rockmen. What rockmen liked was to sleep soundly and were not too obsessed with authority. Especially, at this juncture of life and death where they were living in anxiety, the rockmen hoped for a strong and brave rockman to lead them. Thereupon, Yan Yong first inherited his tribe's tribe leader position and then White Rock tribe. Over a month later, he got hold of the remaining tribes one after another, becoming the joint leader of the 8 rockmen tribes. Another half a month passed. He led the rockmen and drove out the fox groups, protecting his tribes. This is not enough. As long as the Immortal doesn't die, we have no future. The fox groups will regroup and attack our home again. We can only attack that Immortal mountain and completely kill the Immortal for a beautiful and peaceful life. Yan Yong immediately mentioned attacking Dang Hun mountain. Some rockmen, however, seemed to hesitate. We have just suffered such a bitter battle, we just want to sleep now. Our rockmen population has decreased greatly, we don't have the strength to attack that demonic stronghold. We have large numbers of offsprings born from this bitter battle, we need to raise them properly till they become adults. Yan Yong could only shift the topic to the old White Rock tribe leader. My tribesmen, will I bring you to your deaths? Attacking the Immortal mountain was not my idea. It was a secret the old White Rock tribe leader told me before his death. He said this Immortal mountain is the legendary Dang Hun mountain. Dang Hun mountain has gutstones. If our rockmen can obtain these gutstones, it can increase our strength and make our tribes stronger. The old White Rock tribe leader was the oldest and the most experienced rockman. He was widely known by the rockmen as the Sage. With his last words, along with Yan Yong's clear might, the rockmen were agitated and formed an expedition to attack Dang Hun mountain. Fang Yuan had intentionally arranged some fox groups around Dang Hun mountain, forming a weak defensive line. Yan Yong continually boosted the rockmen's morale. See, there is not much left of the demonic Immortal's fox army. We are already close to victory. The rockmen sang of victory and triumph along the way, charging toward Dang Hun mountain with uplifted morale. At Dang Hun mountain, Fang Yuan appeared with a group of foxes and fought a great battle with the rockmen. Fang Yuan showed terrifying strength and killed many rockmen, causing all the rockmen to be terrified. But at this moment, Yan Yang stood up and pointed to Fang Yuan's injuries and his paper tiger, immortal essence, and fought a decisive battle with him. The fox groups were eliminated, as Fang Yuan was defeated, forced to escape from Yan Yang's assault. Wait till I come back after gathering immortal essence from the water and fire. That moment will be your end. Before retreating, Fang Yuan shouted loudly with a malevolent expression. Rockmen had rough physique and their movements were slow, and not being familiar with Danghun Mountain's terrain, they could only let Fang Yuan escape. The rockmen worshipped Yan Yang for beating back the immortal and cheered victoriously. My tribesmen, now is not the time to cheer. Yan Yang stood up. We can't stay on Danghun Mountain for long, this is a demonic land. The old White Rock tribe leader had told me, every year only during these few days, we rockmen can enter this place safely. We need to hurry and collect the gutstones here. 3 days later, we need to leave this place. Their bodies were made of solid rock. There was a burden on their soul to hold up such a strong and firm body. If the rockmen moved too excessively, it could harm their soul. Thus, rockmen would spend 80% of their whole life sleeping and nurturing their soul. When the foundation of their soul was thick enough, it would leak out. This overflowing part of the soul would fall on a rock and form a new life. Rockmen tribes reproduce like this. After the rockmen obtained the gutstones, the guts Gu could strengthen and expand their soul, causing the soul to overflow and form little rockmen. 3 days later, inside the mountain, in Danghun Palace. Yan Yang kneeled on the ground and reported with reverence and fear as he lowered his head and bowed, reporting to the Immortal, with these 3 days of soul strengthening, our rockmen tribes have increased by 6,000 little rockmen. Including us old tribesmen, the whole population has increased to 3 times the population before the battle. Fang Yuan was sitting grandly on the fluffy bed and looked down at Yan Yang. Good, with this, your rockmen have enough manpower to start the river construction. Next, you remember what to do, right? Or do you need me to tell you again? Yan Yang promptly replied. Supreme Immortal, I did not dare to forget your words and have engraved them in my mind. Good. Fang Yuan nodded indifferently. I will give you 3 months of time to dig a great river that cuts across the eastern and northern areas. Ah, 3 months. Yan Yang was stupefied. Mighty Immortal, us rockmen need sleep to nurture our souls. If we move excessively, we will tire ourselves to death. The great river is so long, and with only 3 months of time, we would have not be able to have any rest. If we work like this, our rockmen tribes will probably die out. He, you won't die completely. I have already calculated, there will be over 200 rockmen remaining. Fang Yuan laughed. Yan Yang felt a chill in his body. There were 10,000 rockmen now, but there would only be over 200 after the project. How terrifying of a sacrifice was this? 3 months later, I want to see a great river. If I don't see it, I will tell the truth to your tribesmen before I kill you. Now roll away. Fang Yuan's tone was cold and unfeeling. Yan Yang's body trembled all over hearing this demonic threat. He had a very deep fear towards Fang Yuan and did not dare to retort. His body curled up into a ball and surprising, he really rolled away. Master, we paid a huge price back then to bring in these rockmen. The little Hu Immortal Land Spirit tactfully persuaded, she could not endure seeing such a huge amount of rockmen dying like this. Don't worry, the rockmen has still a great use to me. And isn't it easy to increase their population? Fang Yuan leaned on a chair with his eyes squinting as he took out a burial soul toad from his aperture. Burial soul toad was a rank 4 GU used to store things. It was one of the GU worms left by the Hu Immortal. It was palm-sized big and was gray color. There were small warts all over its back and its large eyes flashed with weird and gloomy green light. It could only store souls and its belly would inflate as it sucked in the souls. Fang Yuan used this to collect the souls of the rockmen who died in the battle with the fox groups. Now, this soul burial toad's belly was deflated. The souls that were inside it before were placed on Danghun Mountain by Fang Yuan to breed new gutstones. Fang Yuan used a part of the gutstones to make his soul 6 times stronger than that of a normal person. And the remaining gutstones were given to the rockmen tribes. The rockmen had no idea, the strengthening of their souls was all due to the death of their companions. Chapter 414 Conscience of Those in Power. Chapter 414, Conscience of Those in Power. Yan Yang got out of Danghun Palace. After getting through some twisted and dark tunnels, he arrived on Danghun Mountain. After seeing the crystal pink mountain, Yan Yang blew out a breath of turbid air. His fear and pressure had decreased greatly after leaving Fang Yuan. After moving on the mountain for a while, he was finally discovered by his tribe mates. "Oh, our great and honorable leader, our hero, you are here." Some rock men cheered. "Please let me kiss your foot, to express my adoration of you." A few rock men kneeled on the ground. Big hero, your courage is greater than heaven, your guts is thicker than the earth." Some tiny rock men formed into groups and shouted loudly. Yan Yang laughed, no one knew how bitter he felt. The cheers he heard were extremely joyous, there were many tribesmen around him, gathering together, but he felt extremely lonely at this point. He looked at these tribesmen, these smiling rockmen, they were all going to die 3 months later. Dying of exhaustion after digging the river. But what could he do? From what the other rockmen saw, Danghun Mountain's victory was glorious, it was worth celebrating. But only he knew, this was only a game manipulated in the dark by that immortal. The cruel and chilling truth made him understand clearly that the sacrifice of those rockmen, and this difficult victory, it was so laughably pathetic, they were powerless. He led his tribesmen and gained more victories, but at the same time his fear towards Fang Yuan grew. That immortal, he is a demon. His heart is harder and colder than us rockmen, his strength is greater than the weight of the mountains. I am so weak, what can I do? Resistance means death. I admit my cowardice, I am really afraid of dying. I have not slept enough, I am only 180 years old. The moment Yan Yang thought about Fang Yuan's appearance, his heart was filled with terror. His lingering bit of conscience was torturing him. He knew, he was about to send his tribesmen to death personally. He was being grilled by his conscience, every praise from his tribesmen was like a whip, causing his heart to be full of pain and scars. Our esteemed, beloved tribe leader, you are finally back. Everyone's waiting. The rockmen gave way to Yan Yang, as he walked unobstructed towards higher ground. My tribesmen, these 3 days, our tribe has grown by many times. Our conquest has gotten us glorious results. But such victory is insufficient. Are you all willing to continue following me, towards a brighter future? Yan Yang looked down at his tribesmen and shouted loudly. The rockmen used the loudest cheer they could muster to express their 120% support towards Yan Yang. Yan Yang nodded, he had expected such an outcome. Among the rockmen, there were no outliers or knowledgeable old rockmen. During the few intense battles, they had, gloriously, sacrificed themselves. The remaining rockmen were all newborn, they had a simple mind. As for the remaining old rockmen, they were all hardcore supporters of Yan Yang, his loyal worshippers. Yan Yang patiently waited for the cheers to stop before continuing. These 3 days, I had been considering, how do we deal with the escaped immortal? Immortals have immortal essence, thus they are able to control the fox army, and have terrifying strength. He must have retreated to the lake at the north area, or hid in east area's fire pit. We cannot allow him to recover. Tribe leader is right. Tribe leader is too smart, we cannot allow that evil immortal to recover his immortal essence. When that accursed demon recovers his strength, he will definitely find trouble with us rockmen. But what do we do now? The lake and fire pit are both dangerous areas. Even us rockmen cannot last long there. And these 2 areas are so wide, who knows where the immortal escaped to? Everyone was speaking as the scene turned noisy. Yan Yang interrupted everyone's discussions, shouting, that's why, I thought of the only solution. We will use soil to fill the fire pit and lake, that way, the immortal will be unable to recover his immortal essence. Oh God, that is an insane idea. At once, some rockmen shouted. My great tribe leader, the lake is so wide, it causes people to stare in amazement. The fire pit has a fatal temperature, how can we use soil to fill it? That is impossible, an old rockman immediately argued. Yan Yang stared at this old rockman deeply, remembering him to heart. This rockman dared to question him, it showed that his idolization was not deep enough, thus he shall get the heaviest and toughest job later, working to death. At this time, another old rockman said, we cannot do this forcefully, I have a solution. Maybe we can dig out a river and direct the lake water to the fire pit, using water to neutralize fire, that will be easier. Yan Yang's killing intent rose even more. This old rockman was very intelligent, he was a bigger threat than the old rockman who rebuked him. He immediately decided in this heart, he was going to send this old rockman to a defense mission. He shall be killed by the Fox army, this threat has to be eliminated. Yan Yang praised this old man plainly, shouting, that is exactly my idea, we have to dig a river and direct the water over to end the fire. The immortal will have no place to recover immortal essence. Actually, Whitestone old tribe leader taught me before dying, he said that the water at the north and the fire at the east were all done by that evil male immortal. That is the source of his power, just like how we rockmen eat soil. So White Stone Old Tribe Leader predicted this. White Stone Old Tribe Leader, as expected of our philosopher. White Stone Old Tribe Leader was already 998 years old, of course he knew a lot. All the rockmen nodded, expressing their agreement with White Stone Old Tribe Leader, but also felt deep pity and anguish towards his death. Rockmen sleep for a long time, they have little interaction with each other. This sense of distance and mystery caused the deceased White Stone Old Tribe Leader's knowledge to feel extremely profound. Using a phrase from Earth, if White Stone Old Tribe Leader could hear this in the afterlife, he might jump out of his coffin in anger. But unfortunately, he was completely killed by Fang Yuan, his soul was not spared, broken down on Dang Hun Mountain by Fang Yuan. The essence landed on the mountain, forming a gutstone. Whether this gutstone was smashed by a rockman, or Fang Yuan himself, that would be an eternal mystery. After discussing, the rockmen agreed that Yan Yang should be the leader, overseeing the digging to connect the water and fire. Fang Yuan hid in the background, looking at this scene secretly. After seeing the finalized plan, he ordered Little Hu Immortal. The land spirit released a trace of Dang Hun Mountain's power, and the rockmen felt their soul tremble, they got very dizzy. Many young rockmen fainted on the spot. Oh no, let's hurry and get out. Dang Hun Mountain is going to attack, Yan Yang said, as he left his tribesmen away from Dang Hun Mountain. They did not return to their original home, but instead got to the north and east area in a grand fashion. In Dang Hun Mountain, Fang Yuan looked expressionlessly at these leaving rockmen using the smoke cloud. Master, have you heard of the story of the rockmen? Little Hu Immortal's tail was swaying as she spoke meekly. Fang Yuan laughed lightly. You want to urge me to use soft tactics with the rockmen? Master is so smart. Little Hu Immortal's large eyes were shining. Hey, it seems you are not too familiar with this. Often, the power of fear and hatred surpasses gratitude greatly. Back then, when Fang Yuan found out that there was a group of rockmen, he was overjoyed. The rockmen lived underground, they ate soil as food and were skilled at digging. A large ground of rockmen could even build an underground city deep in the ground. Rockmen could excavate resources for the blessed land's owner, they were excellent slaves. Many GU Immortals want to buy rockmen and move them into their own blessed land. For Hu Immortal blessed land, because of Dang Hun Mountain, and provided it had enough souls, just one rockman can use the gutstones to breed into a large clan. Fang Yuan could use this to mass-produce rockmen and engage in slave trade with other GU Immortals. Back then, Hu Immortal brought all these rockmen in with the same intentions. It was true, rockmen only succumbed to soft tactics. Most of the rockmen were stubborn and tough, warrior not afraid to die. Thus, many GU Immortals have to use kindness and benefits to slowly use these rockmen and maximize their worth. Hu Immortal used such a method. But Fang Yuan did not adopt this. It was too gentle, he wanted squeeze them dry, to gain the most benefits. This world's competition is so cruel, not only did man compete with each other, they also had to deal with disasters and calamities, who knows how many heroes had fallen to floods. So what if you are a GU Immortal? If you did not arm yourself and make use of every resource you had to strengthen yourself, Hu Immortal's demise would be the best example. A demonic path member has to make the best of his time, considering even the small bit of benefit, taking whatever he can and make himself stronger. Anyone in power has to understand. Rules, laws, friendship and morals, these are all tools to squeeze out benefits. Leniency and conscience, cruelty and hatred, they are all the same. Fang Yuan laughed coldly in his heart. After wasting so much time with the rockmen, there were only 7 months left to the 6th calamity. The lake at the north, fire pit at the east, they were all scars left by previous calamities, weak spots of the blessed land. When earthly calamities occur, they would be the weakest link. A team is only as strong as its weakest player. The weight a chain can hold up depends on the most fragile section. So what if I am hated, detested, and scolded by countless people? If this world was so simple such that hatred, loathe, and curses work, why would I still need strength? The most important thing was digging the river as soon as possible, to help the blessed land recover as much as it could. It did not matter how many rockmen died in the process. Since Dang Hun Mountain was here, he just had to capture a few souls and there would be an uncountable number of rockmen produced. Chapter 415 for tomorrow. Chapter 415, for tomorrow. Rumble rumble. Explosions went off one after another, as dust and smoke rose into the air. This was the site of the river digging project. The rockmen ate soil as food, many of the GU worms on the rockmen's bodies can be used. Lord Tribe Leader, we cannot continue like this. Yesterday, 3 tribesmen died from exhaustion. They had a pitiful death, not even leaving behind a single offspring. An elderly rockman kneeled before Yan Yang as he cried. Once a rockman dies of exhaustion, their soul will dissipate, they will die for real, there will not be any young rockmen formed from their remaining soul. Yan Yang slammed his chest, howling, why would I not know? Why would I not know? Heroes have sacrificed for our tribe again. For the bright future of our tribe, for a beautiful tomorrow, they contributed their lives. But precisely so, we cannot slow down. Since the start of the excavation, we have faced many attacks from the Fox army. The size of the Fox group is getting larger, evidently that accursed male immortal is regaining his immortal essence. We have to continue and work hard, digging the river so that he loses his source of power. Old Rockman was stunned, but tribe leader. You are a good Rockman, you think for our tribe, I understand that. These heroes will not die in vain. Look there, I have already made heroic gravestones for them. Their children and descendants will remember them, and feel gratitude for the sacrifices made. Yan Yang pointed at the gravestones erected, there was a large number of them. The old Rockman looked at the gravestones, sighing. Once the death of the Rockmen appeared, the new tribe leader Yan Yang immediately ordered people to build these gravestones. The low morale was immediately raised, although every day, countless Rockmen die of exhaustion, they were still in high spirits. They are dead, what is the use of these gravestones? The old Rockman was one of the few left who understood the situation, he felt deeply worried. O leader, he bitterly urged, as Rockmen have to reproduce as well. These Rockmen who die of exhaustion will not even have their souls left, they cannot leave behind descendants. Yan Yang's expression remained unchanged, not saying a word. A young Rockman beside him started grumbling, you old man, are you afraid of dying? Old Rockman immediately retorted, young man, how can you say that? Yes, I am old, but I am a Rockman, how can a Rockman be afraid of dying? Since you are not afraid to die, why are you talking so much? That's right, we are making contributions to the tribe. What's the matter? We are making a small sacrifice for the bigger good. Beside Yan Yang, a group of young Rockmen started arguing. Old senior, if you feel tired, take a rest first. It is not a problem, my time is limited, I have to go to the other areas to inspect the progress. Yan Yang patted this old Rockman's shoulder as he walked away, continuing on his inspection. A group of young Rockmen followed behind Yan Yang, talking among themselves, expressing their disdain for that old Rockman. Being despised by these juniors, the old Rockman felt very depressed, smoke was coming out of his ears. He wanted to rebuke them loudly, but he saw all the gravestones near the construction area, with all sorts of words carved on them. We have to do this at all cost. As long as we are united, within 3 days, we will complete the river. The bigger our courage, the more we can achieve. To build a beautiful future for our Rockmen tribe. Long live tribe leader Yan Yang. For the bright future of the Rockmen, we contribute our lives, we contribute our youth. The crazed atmosphere engulfed the Rockmen's hearts. Even those Rockmen who died from exhaustion showed a smile before they died. Old Rockman wanted to speak, but his mouth opened many times and did not manage to say a word. He kneeled on the spot in a daze for a long while, until suddenly, he lifted his fist and slammed the ground heavily. Bam! It was a heavy sound. The old Rockman stood up slowly, silently moving his aged body towards the construction ground. Yan Yang rushed to the next site. The river channel was already starting to form, large numbers of adult Rockmen were digging in the channel. Beside them, the physically weaker young Rockmen formed into patrolling groups. Some were inspecting the river digging, some were carving slogans, some were making heroic gravestones. These young Rockmen were called Rock Guards, formed by Yan Yang personally. Reporting to tribe leader, fixed to 6 young Rockmen went to Yan Yang and reported the results of these few days of labor. Reporting to great leader, we have dug another 25 kilometers in this segment. Reporting to great leader, we have unfortunately sacrificed 120 tribesmen, they are all heroes of our tribe. Reporting to great leader, we actually found 3 tribesmen sleeping on the job. This is a disgrace to our tribe, we have to criticize them. Very good, you have all done well. Remember, you have to erect gravestones for our deceased heroes. At the same time, tie up those disgraceful Rockmen and criticize them up public, let them learn courage from humiliation. Yan Yang spoke caringly. Understood, you are all the future of our tribe, seeing you all is like seeing the bright future of our tribe. You have to continue working hard. Yan Yang praised. The young Rockmen were extremely spurred on, their bodies were trembling. Everything for the Rockmen tribe. Our esteemed and beloved leader, you are our symbol of pride. We unite by your side, walking towards a bright and meaningful future. They growled one after another, showing a fanatic gaze. But Yan Yang avoided eye contact with them. These young rockmen's enthusiasm made him fearful. He looked at a faraway place. There, all the different segments of the river were being excavated. Yan Yang could see many rockmen looking down at the yellow soil while lowering their thick backs. The river channel was tens of meters wide. Segment after segment, a long line showed up in his vision. This was a majestic project. Every time Yan Yang saw this scene, his heart palpitated. As long as they are united, the Rockmen tribe's strength was overwhelming, it could change the world. But when Yan Yang thought of Fang Yuan, that terrifying demon, his heart felt a strong chill that turned his enthusiasm into a frozen river. Be it the fox groups outside, the slogans on the stone boards, or the rock guards he created, they were all a part of the demon's plot. With so many methods, he forcefully reduced the Rockmen tribe's resistance to the minimum. Yan Yang was the one who created this scenario personally. Seeing the formation of the river, his fear towards Fang Yuan became greater and greater. That male immortal not only had terrifying strength, what truly caused despair was that scheming and devious mind of his, making him seem like an unpredictable abyss. Yan Yang felt himself sinking into purgatory. He was meek like an ant, while behind him, Fang Yuan's giant figure was staring down at him. He was like a corpse, a puppet. The strings that controlled him was in the hands of Fang Yuan. Every day, he saw his tribesmen die. His heart hurt like a dagger was stabbing it. Seeing the enthusiasm of his tribesmen, dying to dig the river, he felt a pitiful grief. If possible, I would rather not know the truth. Maybe, continuing to live in this lie is true bliss. Yan Yang retracted his gaze, waving his hand and bringing the young rockmen towards the next river segment. This is the last estrus Gu, go. Primeval essence had already been injected, as Fang Yuan flicked his finger and shot the green bean-looking Gu into the air. Estrus Gu exploded, turning into pink powder as it rained down on the fox group below. The entire fox group breathed in this powder, and immediately stirred. Very soon, numerous male foxes sprawled on the female foxes' backs, moving vigorously as they injected their life essence into the female fox's body. The fox gestation varied. For example, Golden Fox took 2 months to give birth once. Every time, there were 3 to 4 foxes. As for desolate beasts like Three-Tail Fox, even 100 years was not enough to nurture their fetus. Normally, the stronger the beast, the longer it takes for one gestation. But right now in Immortal blessed land, the fox groups were ordinary, they had a short gestation period. Ever since the Rockmen started digging the river until the process became smooth, Fang Yuan had been using estrus Gu every day, creating new foxes and strengthening the fox army. Immortal did not have an immortal Gu. During the 5th earthly calamity, she was killed by Blue Charm Lightning Shadow, thus her set of enslavement path Gu worms were not spared. But within Danghun Mountain, she left behind a number of Gu worms. For example, assistance type Gu like Burial Soul Toad, or expenditure type Gu like estrus Gu, as well as some spare Gu worms for the enslavement path. Most were fox enslavement Gu. To quickly increase his strength, Fang Yuan already used up most of these Gu worms. The fox group had increased in numbers by several times after his hard work. Although the foxes were omnivores, the blessed land could not sustain such a large number. In less than 2 years, a lot of foxes would be unable to find food and die of starvation. But Fang Yuan could not care less, his whole mind was on enduring the 6th earthly calamity now. A few months passed quickly. A river connected the north and east. The overflowing lake flowed along the river channel, moving quickly with ripples splashing. Swish swish, the great flood flowed into the fire pit. As the two forces clashed, river water evaporated and turned to steam, rising into the air. After the river water calmed down, almost half the black flames were doused. Only 3 burning areas remained at the edges. This way, fire and water wiped each other out, the north area's flood was alleviated and the ground surfaced once more. Large amounts of water flowed along the river and filled tens of pits, forming many lakes. Even though the north area was still full of mud, and the east area was a burnt land without any living plants, the fusion of fire and water had created something like a scab on a bleeding wound. As long as time passed, the east and north areas will eventually regain their vitality. Under Fang Yuan's instructions, Yan Yang brought the injured and tired 100 or so rockmen back to their homes at the south area. Master, what do we do with these clouds? Little Immortal looked at the sky, the thick clouds made her feel helpless. Even though it rained many times already, a lot of water vapor was still in the air, forming into clouds. These clouds blocked the natural light, causing the east area to be shrouded in darkness. It made people feel irritated. The blessed land did not have sunlight or wind. These clouds would heavily affect the lives of the east area's inhabitants. Ignore them. Fang Yuan looked at the sea of clouds and retracted his gaze. The appearance of the clouds was expected, it was a minor detail. What is truly important is the sixth earthly calamity. If the blessed land survives this, he would slowly settle the issue about the clouds. If it fails to make it, then there is no point in thinking about it. Chapter 416 Enduring the Earthly Calamity 1/2. Chapter 416 Enduring the Earthly Calamity 1/2. Several months later, in Hu Immortal Blessed Land, the fox groups gathered into an army and surrounded Dang Hun Mountain tightly. Fang Yuan stood with his arms behind his back at the peak of the mountain and looked at the sky with a solemn expression. Time passed mercilessly. Today was the day of the sixth earthly calamity. Even though Fang Yuan was a Gu immortal in his previous life, he still felt uneasy facing an earthly calamity. Every earthly calamity increases in intensity compared to the previous one. It was a cruel trial that decided the life and death of the Gu immortals in their blessed land. Fang Yuan took over the blessed land when there was only a year and 3 months left. This time was truly short, he could only prepare with his best efforts. Digging a river and alleviating the water and fire crisis was 1, nurturing foxes and increasing their numbers was 2. Holding on to fixed immortal travel Gu and being prepared to retreat was the 3rd preparation. As for the clouds in the sky, as well as the blue charm lightning shadow at the west area, he had no way of dealing with them. The mild wind gradually stopped. High up in the sky, clouds were rumbling and a lump of light was forming. It's coming. Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk as he muttered. In the cloud sea, the lump light burst out, forming a great white round door, facing the blessed land directly. The light was glaring and dazzling, as a brown-yellow colored large monster descended from the light door like a large rock. Looking at this scene, is this the desolate beast calamity? Fang Yuan squinted and stared without blinking. The giant rock continued to descend silently. Fang Yuan could not help but lick his dry lips as his heart sank. There were countless types of earthly calamities, among them were the desolate beast calamity. In the blessed land, one or multiple desolate beasts will appear, charging towards the blessed land's central control area, wreaking havoc and causing destruction to the blessed land. If they were not exterminated in time, even a large blessed land would be destroyed and reduced to ashes. Damn it, it is a desolate beast. I just hope there is no immortal Gu on this desolate beast. Fang Yuan cursed in his heart. If desolate beasts had immortal Gu on them, their battle strength would surpass Gu immortals. This mysterious desolate beast landed on the ground in a light manner contrary to its giant size. Looking from afar, it looked like a slightly flat giant rock. But Fang Yuan could tell from the images that this large rock was only a brown-yellow exoskeleton glowing with a golden luster. There were thick layers of mud on the shell armor. Just as Fang Yuan was guessing what sort of creature it was, a large pair of cheliped, like 2 bronze poles, stretched out from the shell. Next, 9 pairs of chelipedes stretched out from 2 sides, landing on the ground, raising the heavy body off the ground. Swamp crab. Seeing this, Fang Yuan spoke immediately, recognizing the true identity of this desolate beast. This was a large crab, with a body that was the size of a mountain. When its body was lifted, the height could reach a quarter of Dang Hun Mountain. Its first pair of chelipedes was more fearsome than steel poles, a pair of pincers that could break mountain rocks or cut a flood dragon in half. Its remaining 18 chelipedes, although thinner than the first pair, they were still thicker than 100-year-old trees. There were large numbers of Gu worms on its body, most would be water and earth path Gu worms. Rarely, it could even contain an entire set of Gu worms. Thankfully, Hu Immortal Blessed Land has ample immortal essence. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth, feeling glad in his heart. Earlier when the swamp crab appeared, the land spirit already struck, using the heavenly power to restrict its Gu worms. All rank 1 to 5 Gu worms could not display their abilities. The most important point was, this desolate beast had no immortal Gu. If it did, then the question would be what immortal Gu that was. Immortal Gu were unique, surpassing the laws of the mortal realm, blessed lands could not restrict them. The existence of an immortal Gu was the most important element in this battle. The swamp crab fully stretched its limbs and started slowly moving towards Dang Hun Mountain. Fang Yuan willed and moved his troops quickly. Large numbers of foxes all over the mountain, rushed like the tides towards the desolate beast. In moments, they encircled the swamp crab. Their claws and teeth scratched the swamp crab's legs, and the physically tougher golden foxes directly crashed into it. But the swamp crab was huge like a mountain and continued moving forward. The ordinary fox groups could not stop it, instead they were stomped into meat paste. Fang Yuan's expression was cruel as he directed the foxes to continue giving up their lives. He bred so many of them, they were meant to be used as disposable pieces. Damage accumulates, any amount of damage they could deal counted. But the swamp crab gave off an unstoppable momentum as it advanced without halting a single step. Like a moving mountain, it did not care about the foxes below. All sorts of attacks landed on the swamp crab's body, like a beautiful display of fireworks. These were the attacks of the 100,000 and myriad beast kings of the foxes. They had all sorts of GU worms. Under the strength of all the GU, the mud on swamp crab's body was all blown away. This giant crab, for the first time, stopped its movement. It opened its mouth and spewed out large amounts of mud. At the same time, from its stomach, yellow mud spewed out like a waterfall. The mud landed on the grass and formed a swamp. From the mud, weird-looking crabs stood up. Some had large sizes, ferocious like a tiger. Some had sharp thin needle-like pincers. Some had claw-like legs, having quick speed. In the blink of an eye, a crab army that numbered to 1,000,000 formed. It is the swamp crab indeed. It can breed at any time and place, creating numerous smaller crabs and forming an army. Fang Yuan's expression turned darker. The fox groups were fighting against the crab army, engaging in fierce combat. The number of foxes continued to decrease. The crab army's deaths were much greater than the fox group, but the desolate beast continued to give birth, and there was an endless number of crabs. Fang Yuan quickly instructed the fox groups hiding outside the mountain to return. Thankfully, I expended my estrus GU and bred a large number of foxes, otherwise, my total force would not be enough. In just this short period, Fang Yuan felt dizzy. He directed an insanely large number of foxes, and even though his soul was 6 times as strong as a normal person, it could not take this pressure. With the crab army paving the way, the swamp crab continued moving forward, regaining its former speed. The legs on its body moved one after another, like fingers playing on a piano, with a rhythmic beauty. But an intense battle was going on below it. Blood flowed into river, corpses piled into a hill, and every piece of land was tainted with blood. The swamp crab did not differentiate enemies from allies. Every time its legs landed on the ground, there would be a fountain of blood squirting all over the place. When the crab raised its leg, there would be foxes, crushed bodies and broken crab carcasses in the deep pit on the ground. This desolate beast's body was so large, and honestly speaking, it did not move quickly. But because of this, it was able to create an immense mental pressure. Seeing it moving unhindered, Fang Yuan felt that a grim reaper's scythe was hanging over his neck. Damn it! Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. This desolate beast before him was the king of the swamp. Its body was covered in hard shell, it had lurked deep within the swamp for many years, even its eyes had vanished due to de-evolution, it had no weaknesses left. Fang Yuan manipulated the fox groups to hold it back, but it was no use. He could only watch helplessly as the swamp crab got closer. Can you teleport it away? Fang Yuan turned his head, asking the little Immortal land spirit. Different GU Immortals gave birth to different blessed lands, and the land spirit's abilities also varied. Some land spirits could teleport others, like Bagwei from Three Kings' blessed land, while some could not. Some land spirits could summon rain and wind, and some could manipulate the flow of time freely. Let me try. Little Immortal breathed roughly as she felt an intense mental pressure. She activated the immortal essence, and used all her strength until her cute tiny face turned red. Ah! She shouted in a childish way. With a swoosh, the giant swamp crab vanished on the spot and was teleported about 9,000 steps away. We succeeded. Little Immortal's face was red as she gasped. Fang Yuan relaxed slightly. Ma master, I just expended 1 bead of green grape immortal essence. Little Immortal reported painfully. No matter. Fang Yuan's expression was cold as he continued to order the foxes to attack the swamp crab. After 5 minutes, the swamp crab got close again. Land spirit teleported it away once again. And thus, another green grape immortal essence was expended. Little Immortal felt immense pity at this waste, and Fang Yuan's heart was bleeding. In the entire Immortal blessed land, there were only 78 beads of green grape immortal essence. Fang Yuan used 1 to feed fixed immortal travel GU. Now he used another 2 to teleport this swamp crab. He still had to use the immortal essence to refine GU and manage the entire blessed land in the future. There were many areas in which immortal essence were needed, but because Who Immortal died already, these green grape immortal essence could not be replenished. Every single bead used was one less left for the future. Some crabs got through unguarded areas and charged up the mountain. Fang Yuan snorted coldly at this and ordered the land spirit to unleash the might of Danhun Mountain. At once, the area the crab army walked on became a death domain. Numerous crabs died, lying on the ground with their bodies intact. Their souls, however, were completely destroyed, creating a peculiar scene. Unfortunately, Danghun Mountain's power is to continuously pressure the soul, but the desolate beast's soul is strong and can last for a while. I cannot let it reach Danghun Mountain and destroy this precious forbidden ground. Fang Yuan did not participate in battle. Even if he used his strength path GU worms, he would not be able to break its shell. Most importantly, the swamp crab had not used an immortal GU yet. Fang Yuan was uncertain if it had one or not. The unknown was the greatest threat. Fang Yuan did not dare to strike rashly. Soon, the swamp crab came again. Just as it was teleported away for the third time, Little Who Immortal's expression changed. Not waiting for Fang Yuan's reaction, she stretched her hand to grab his arm, and they both vanished on the spot. The next moment, a fierce lightning bolt landed on the area they were standing. Boom! With a thunderous sound, mountain rocks shattered. The lightning paused for a moment before shooting back up. It turned into a human-shaped lightning and emitted a loud growl. This was the Blue Charm Lightning Shadow. Chapter 417 Enduring the Earth Calamity 2 halves. Chapter 417 Enduring the Earth Calamity 2 halves. Blue Charm Lightning Shadow held its head and screamed in pain. The blue lightning flashed around without any target and only settled down after a long while. Clearly, the lightning figure had suffered injuries in its soul when it entered Danghun Mountain. Inside Danghun Palace, Fang Yuan's face became ashen as he looked at the scene in the smoke. If it was not for the land spirit's prompt teleportation just before, he might have been dead already. Little Who Immortal patted her chest, her face pale and showing lingering fear. When it rains, it pours. The Blue Charm Lightning Shadow joining the battle no doubt made things worse. Blue Charm Lightning Shadow flew into a rage after its sneak attack did not succeed and started to collide continuously into Danghun Mountain. Every time it collided with Danghun Mountain, there would be tremors in Danghun Palace. Soil and stones flew from the impact and large scorched pits were created from the attacks on the mountain. Fang Yuan felt his heart bleed at this scene. This was Danghun Mountain. In this entire world, there was only one of it. Fortunately, Blue Charm Lightning Shadow stopped its attacks after dozens of collisions. Its soul had received considerable damage and the lightning around it was becoming very disorderly. It did not dare to attack again. During this time, the land spirit had teleported the swamp crab another 2 times. In total, they had wasted 5 beads of green grape immortal essence on it. And the originally endless fox army was already at the brink of extinction. What made Little Who Immortal even more discouraged was that this desolate beast only had small wounds and was still moving forward stably like before. It was like an indestructible bone. Whether it was Blue Charm Lightning Shadow or Swamp Crab, they both had one target, destroying the central area, expending the immortal essence and killing the land spirit. Their final target was to destroy the whole blessed land. They were on the same faction and did not have any conflicts, instead they cooperated. While Fang Yuan and the land spirit were having a headache due to this swamp crab, the Blue Charm Lightning Shadow gave up on Danghun Mountain and changed its target to the blessed land itself. It did not dare to collide against Danghun Mountain anymore, so it began attacking the sky and the earth of this blessed land. It destroyed everything it saw and created craters everywhere. Sky crumbled and showed scars like that of a broken mirror. Fang Yuan felt deep helplessness. Not good. Master, there is a hole in the blessed land. Little Who Immortal spoke hurriedly. Blue Charm Lightning Shadow's attacks shattered the world and created a hole. Cut away the surrounding area around the hole. Fang Yuan spoke indifferently, his tone cold as ice. What? Little Who Immortal opened her eyes wide and gave a cry of surprise. If they cut off the area like this, they would not be able to restore it. The holes in blessed lands could be repaired with immortal essence. If the holes were not patched in time and were allowed to enlarge, they would form a passage to the outside world. Once there was a passage, those GU immortals outside the blessed land would absolutely charge in and make all kinds of schemes. At that time, the situation would be even more out of hand. There were demonic path GU immortals on TNT Mountain. Righteous path GU immortals did not dare to attack because they had a lot of businesses and assets. However, demonic path has no lack of demented people, they were lone forces and liked to take risks. In any case, Fang Yuan had done this a lot in his previous life. Under Fang Yuan's order, Little Who Immortal repeatedly cut off nearby half a square kilometer of the Blessed Land. Blue Charm Lightning Shadow continually destroyed the world and created holes, while the Land Spirit continually cut them off. The Swamp Crab charged towards Danghun Mountain again and again. The Land Spirit had no choice but to teleport it time after time. The amount of green grape primeval essence consumed already reached 13 beads. Sob sob, the Blessed Land has become smaller and so much immortal essence has been lost. Tears started falling out of Little Who Immortal's eyes as she sobbed. Don't cry, Fang Yuan coldly shouted, his expression ashen. There is no point in delaying. Our only hope is to kill these two calamities. But I don't have an attack-type Immortal GU, and it would be difficult to see any results from attacking the Swamp Crab with rank 5 GU in a short time. My only option now is to gamble. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth and revealed a crazed determination. Desolate beasts were very strong. Just by relying on their majestic physique and their fierce recovery ability, they could ignore most rank 5 GU. Especially this Swamp Crab. It had a strong defense and was upper tier even among the desolate beasts. Fang Yuan had a lot of rank 5 GU, Turn Gold GU, Soft Bones GU, Pitch Black GU and so on, but using them against Swamp Crab would be like throwing pebbles in the lake. They could only create slight ripples. They needed to attack continuously for a slight bit of results. However, Fang Yuan was unable to activate these GU and participate in the offense. If he left the mountain, he could meet with Blue Charm Lightning Shadow's attacks. He could give the GU worms to the Land Spirit to use, but he did not dare to take the risk. Land Spirits could also die, and if it was destroyed by Blue Charm Lightning Shadow, then Fang Yuan would have no means to even activate fixed Immortal Travel GU. Only Immortal GU could change the situation. Fang Yuan might have 2 Immortal GU, but both did not have offensive abilities. Don't teleport it anymore, let this damn Swamp Crab attack Danghun Mountain. Fang Yuan said resolutely and commanded the Land Spirit, release the whole might of Danghun Mountain. Ring. Danghun Mountain had been restricted by Little Who Immortal the whole time, and right now, as it was finally let loose, dense fog started rising over the whole mountain. An enormous and formless soul-shaking power burst out of the mountain, spreading as far as 3,000 steps and eradicating everything in its surroundings. Only Danghun Palace, under the Land Spirit's control, was intact. The giant Swamp Crab soon got close to Danghun Mountain. Under the power of Danghun Mountain, its sturdy shell was unable to provide any defensive support. Its soul received fierce attacks, causing its movements to slow down. However, this made it go berserk and it increased its speed by another fold, charging towards Danghun Mountain. Bam! The enormous pincers heavily smashed on Danghun Mountain like steel clamps. The sturdy boulders were as fragile as flour as they were smashed by the attack, holes forming from the impact. The huge crater was at least 0.6 acres wide. Smoke and dust flew all around and the entire Danghun Palace also shook from the tremors. The Land Spirit Little Who Immortal's face paled from shock. Danghun Palace kept on shaking, dust started falling from the roof and there were fierce cracks on the walls and pillars. Suddenly, Little Who Immortal let out a tragic shout, not good. That Blue Charm Lightning Shadow has already moved towards the north and is openly destroying the sky and earth, creating many holes. The image in front of Fang Yuan changed and showed the scene of Blue Charm Lightning Shadow attacking the world and creating holes. The Blessed Land's eastern and northern parts had been corroded by the remnant force of the earth calamities, and were weaker than other areas. The Blue Charm Lightning Shadow saw these weak points and started attacking them. Fortunately, we had settled the water and fire, otherwise the result of Blue Charm Lightning Shadow's destruction would be 10 times more severe. Master, what should we do? Little Who Immortal was feeling at a loss. The situation had turned to an extremely terrible state. The Swamp Crab was like a steel hammer directly pounding the heart and continuously depleting immortal essence while also wrecking Danghun Mountain. And Blue Charm Lightning Shadow was like an extremely sinister poison. It purposely searched for the weak points of the Blessed Land and stabbed at them. Every hole it created was like a fresh wound to the Blessed Land. Fang Yuan's eyes flashed with an ominous glint. The situation was turning more critical, but it instead aroused his fighting spirit. Land Spirit, every time you teleport the Swamp Crab, send it away by 3,000 steps. Yes, with the distance shortened, the immortal essence expenditure was also comparatively less. And Danghun Mountain's soul-shaking power worked within 3,000 steps, creating injuries to the Swamp Crab's soul. Land Spirit, cut off the whole northern area. Fang Yuan gave another command. What? Little Who Immortal was stupefied and almost did not dare to believe her ears. Hu Immortal Blessed Land's northern area was over 600 square kilometers, and Fang Yuan wanted to give up the whole region. Once they cut off the area, Hu Immortal Blessed Land would lose this territory forever. This was definitely a huge sacrifice by Fang Yuan. Hu Immortal Blessed Land had altogether 4,000 square kilometers of land and he was cutting off 1/6 of it. Master, this, little Hu Immortal hesitated. Do as I say. Fang Yuan's gaze was fixed on the image in front of him as he shouted in a stern voice. Little Hu Immortal's pink lips puckered and her eyes were filled with tears. The tears fell down and she started crying loudly. Land spirits were the representatives of the blessed land. Cutting off a part of the blessed land was the same as cutting their own flesh. And abandoning the whole northern area was like a person cutting off one of their legs. Master, don't do it. Little Hu Immortal cried loudly and begged. However, Fang Yuan's expression was ruthless and did not make the slightest compromise. Master's orders could not be violated. Little Hu Immortal could only endure the pain and cut off the whole northern area. That blue charm lightning shadow was currently in the center of the northern area, destroying the world and creating holes. It suddenly felt something wrong and immediately moved, trying to charge out of the northern area. However, because of 5 kilometers of distance, it could not escape and was trapped in the northern area. It let out a mournful and sharp screech, its tone full of indignance. However, that bit of distance determined its fate. The blue charm lightning shadow could only follow the evaporation of the northern area and land in the outside world. Success! Fang Yuan almost shouted in joy at this scene. If it were normal times where the blue charm lightning shadow had no injuries in its soul, it could absolutely react in time. If not for its crazed attacks towards the world, expending its energy and causing its speed to fall, it could absolutely escape. At the critical moment, Fang Yuan endured the pain and made a minor sacrifice to protect his bigger interests, finally settling this calamity. As to what calamities it would create at the outside world, that was not part of Fang Yuan's consideration. Bam bam bam. The whole Danghun mountain was still shaking. The desolate beast swamp crab's soul was very strong and forcefully withstood the pressure, continuously attacking Danghun mountain. The nearer it got to Danghun mountain, the stronger the soul-shaking power became. Little Hu Immortal teleported the swamp crab away time and again. Right now, it was a battle of foundation between the two sides. If the desolate beast's soul foundation was strong and it overthrew Danghun mountain, it would be Fang Yuan's defeat. Conversely, if Danghun mountain did not fall, it would be the earthly calamity's defeat. Bam bam. Danghun palace's pillars crumbled and the beams of the roofs snapped. Dust and dirt flew everywhere, accompanied by Little Hu Immortal's whimpering cries. Fang Yuan was silently standing with a cold expression. Strength, I need more strength. He clenched his fists and let out an indignant scream in his mind. Why was it that despite growing so much, he was still so weak when facing heaven and earth, when facing fate? Then continue to grow, continue to become stronger, and even stronger. As he screamed silently, the swamp crab's movements were gradually slowing down and eventually it collapsed at the waist of Danghun mountain dead. After an arduous process, the 6th earthly calamity was finally over. Chapter 418 Losses and Gains. Chapter 418 Losses and Gains. Fang Yuan walked out of Danghun Palace. The pink crystal mountain had holes everywhere, broken rocks were scattered on the ground showing a pitiful sight. Fresh red blood, yellow murky mud, fox and crab corpses mixed together. The desolate beast swamp crab's humongous body was pressing on Danghun mountain's mountain waste. It was like a small mountain, extremely eye-catching. The mild wind blew on Fang Yuan's black hair, as his eerie black eyes stared at the battlefield. The pungent smell of blood entered Fang Yuan's nostrils. Closely behind him, Little Hu Immortal Land Spirit's eyes were red, as there were tears on her face. She reported while sniffing. Master, we suffered immense losses. We lost about 666 square kilometers of land, and we only have 68 beads of the immortal essence left. Our fox army of 4,700,000 has fallen to 310,000. As for GU worms, we lost around 700,000 of them. Hu Immortal managed her blessed land for so many years. After this calamity, the entire blessed land lost about 40 years of development. But Fang Yuan did not think so. His expression was tired, but his gaze could not hide the happiness in his heart. He survived this earthly calamity. It was an obstacle. Now that he survived it, Fang Yuan had time to recuperate. He had ample time to deal with the 7th earthly calamity. Stop crying, the blessed land is safe, that means our hope is safe too. Danghun mountain did not collapse, thus we have the resources to start over. Although we lost some land, in the short run, we cannot make use of that land anyway, it will not hinder our development. Fang Yuan patted the land spirit's head, consoling. Look, not long later, Danghun Mountain will be full of gutstones, and we will control another group of rockmen. Most importantly, that blue charm lightning shadow was exiled, now, we can develop without any worries. Hu Immortal blessed land will definitely flourish again. This battle was intense and tragic, there were countless foxes and crabs who died near Danghun Mountain. At the same time, Swamp Crab's soul was smashed into bits by the mountain's vibrations, absorbed into Danghun Mountain. In the near future, not too long away, large numbers of gutstones will appear on Danghun Mountain unceasingly. Master's words make sense. Little Hu Immortal stopped crying and thought about it clearly, it seems he made sense. The earthly calamity was like a trial, Hu Immortal blessed land got through it, there was not only great losses but also great gains. What a pity, there were many GU worms living in this swamp crab, but now Danghun Mountain killed them all. Little Hu Immortal pouted, staring at this swamp crab's corpse angrily. Rejoice, this desolate beast did not have an immortal GU, otherwise, we might not be standing here. Fang Yuan sighed deeply. This was the luckiest part of this ordeal. One crucial immortal GU with overwhelming ability can easily overturn the entire situation. Even if this swamp crab had an immortal GU, and was killed by Fang Yuan, how Fang Yuan would catching this immortal GU was also a huge problem. Maybe this wild immortal GU might replace the blue charm lightning shadow and become the next great threat to Hu Immortal blessed land. Fang Yuan was satisfied enough to have survived this earthly calamity. After all, he was only a rank 4 upper stage mortal GU master, yet he managed to kill a desolate beast that was a problem even for GU immortals. Land spirit, clean up the battlefield. Preserve the corpse of the swamp crab well, I am going to rest. Fang Yuan looked around once more before relaxing, immediately feeling strong fatigue. He commanded over 1,000,000 foxes, his soul and mind was overused, he needed sleep immediately. Okay, Little Hu Immortal answered quickly as she looked at the swamp crab's shell with glowing eyes. Every desolate beast was a moving treasure. The blood, fur, bones, intestines in its body were great GU refinement material. You accursed crab, I will tear you apart. Little Hu Immortal raised her chin as her mouth opened, showing her small canine teeth, angrily walking towards the swamp crab while muttering to herself. Fang Yuan had an extremely enjoyable sleep. 3 days later, he woke up, and laid on the bed, not wanting to move at all. This time, he really relaxed his body and mind. The 6th earthly calamity was over, Fang Yuan earned a lot of time for himself, he could finally catch a breath. Ever since his rebirth, he had been plotting and resisting, especially on Sancha Mountain, he overexerted himself thinking of the ways to get out of his predicament. Now, he finally protected the blessed land. To Fang Yuan, this was a safe and stable place. If Hu Immortal blessed land was destroyed, he would be in big trouble. He exposed many things, let's take for example, the fixed immortal travel GU. Fang Yuan was not a GU immortal, he could not keep this immortal GU into his aperture, once its aura was leaked, GU immortals would easily sense it and come to snatch it from him. Now, fixed immortal travel GU was placed inside Hu Immortal blessed land, and because there was immortal essence, he could feed it without worry. Other than that, there was also the refinement of second aperture GU. Without Little Hu Immortal to control the immortal essence, Fang Yuan could not refine this immortal GU, he had to at least reach GU immortal realm first. By then, divine travel GU might have been refined by another person already, it would be too late. Having protecting Hu Immortal blessed land, it was a great help to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan lied down for a while before getting up to eat. After filling up his stomach, he went to sleep again. This time, he slept for 10 hours, he woke up slowly as he felt all the fatigue had been washed away. His mind was clear, his head was working well, and his condition was as good as it could be. Where is the land spirit? He stomped his feet, calling. Little Hu Immortal tore through space with a swoosh, appearing before him. Master, I have dismantled that crab, we can sell it for a good price. Little Hu Immortal's face was red as she was extremely satisfied at breaking apart the culprit for the blessed land's predicament. Oh right, Master, there are 3 letters here, they were sent in from the loophole on the day of the calamity. Little Hu Immortal said, taking out 3 GU and handed them to Fang Yuan. When loopholes enlarge enough to become tunnels, people could enter and exit. But before that, only GU worms could enter through the small gaps. These 3 GU were all letter path GU worms. One had a paper crane appearance, it was the rank 3 lightning symbol paper crane GU. One was a green bird, rank 5 and looking lifelike, it was the letter-sending green bird GU. One looked like a sword, it was the rank 3 flying sword letter GU. Fang Yuan's gaze shone as he took out the letter-sending green bird GU. The green bird transformed into a letter, it was sent by the rank 7 GU Immortal Feng Juzhe. Fang Yuan was not surprised, the moment he saw this green bird GU, he had a feeling it was him. Feng Juzhe's tone in his letter was calm, he first expressed his admiration and praise for Fang Yuan, before stating his intention to arrange for a battle between Fang Yuan and his daughter Feng Jinhuang. It seems that after Feng Jinhuang returned to Spirit Affinity House, she had been gloomy, moody, and dispirited. During this period, she had been cultivating diligently to reclaim her pride. The battle was initiated by her, she wants to have a fair and square fight with Fang Yuan, betting the glory of Spirit Affinity House and Immortal Crane Sect. HMPH, you want to battle, do I have to agree? Fang Yuan scoffed in disdain. His time was so tight, there was not enough time to cultivate, Fang Yuan would not waste his time and effort accepting Feng Jinhuang's challenge. Feng Jinhuang was born in a great family, she had GU Immortals as her parents, and a sect to support her. Even if she had a blessed land, and the calamity came, there would be a huge group of people fighting it for her. But Fang Yuan was all alone, he had to rely on himself for everything. He had no mood to play around with this rich missy. What a stupid idea, she wants to reclaim her glory, so I must play along with her. Laughable, Fang Yuan snorted. Different from others, he did not fear Feng Juzhe. That is because soon, Feng Juzhe would be called up by the heavenly court, and would successfully ascend, it will not be easy for him to come down and enter Central Continent again. But in this letter, it seems that this pair of father and daughter think that I am a disciple of Immortal Crane Sect, what is going on? Fang Yuan's eyes shone with suspicion. The other party was a GU Immortal, they would naturally not make such a lowly mistake. That means, there were hidden complications. Fang Yuan retrieved the flying sword letter GU. Opening it and taking a look, it was another challenge letter. But in this letter, it was all swearing and scolding, almost all of Fang Yuan's ancestors were mentioned, even Immortal Crane Sect's honor was used to incite Fang Yuan to accept the battle. Finally, there was even a threat, if Fang Yuan did not agree, he would reveal the contents of this letter to the public, and let the world know that Fang Yuan was a coward. Fang Yuan looked carefully, lightly smiling, oh, it is this rascal Jian Yisheng. Jian Yisheng, a Metal Path GU master, his appearance and personality were very perverted. He was most skilled at sneak attacks, and hated suffering losses the most. He was one of the demonic Path GU immortals on TNT Mountain, he was truly a mean and devious coward. In Fang Yuan's previous life, he got ambushed by him many times. He eventually made Fang Yuan angry enough to summon the Blood Sea, forcing this Jian Yisheng to hide in his blessed land, afraid to battle. He blocked him for 20 years, until Jian Yisheng realized that he had angered the wrong person. He could not take it, and eventually kneeled down before Fang Yuan to surrender, without a trace of a GU Immortal's dignity. As for why this person was challenging Fang Yuan, it was because he was extremely unlucky. After Fang Yuan discarded a portion of the blessed land, and threw the blue charm lightning shadow towards TNT Mountain, Jian Yisheng coincidentally met with it. At this time, although Jian Yisheng was a GU Immortal, he had no Immortal GU, and was thrashed by the blue charm lightning shadow. He escaped back to his blessed land pathetically, and finally managed to get free of the blue charm lightning shadow. After he got home, he counted his losses, and was filled with rage, stomping his feet. After finding the culprit, he sent a flying sword letter GU, challenging Fang Yuan. HMPH, he knows I am immortal, but still challenged me as a GU immortal. He even wrote his letter so righteously, talking about fairness. This piece of shit is still as shameless as I remember. But, why did he think I am a member of Immortal Crane Sect? Fang Yuan opened the lightning symbol paper crane GU with great suspicion. He opened it slightly, and his pupils shrunk, showing a surprised expression. What? Fang Zheng is alive. Reading on, his suspicions were cleared. So that's it, this He Feng Yang from Immortal Crane Sect is a smart person, using this method to eliminate his competitors. But he greatly underestimated me. Why would I join Immortal Crane Sect? But what the letter mentioned is exactly what I need now. Thinking so, Fang Yuan made up his mind. He called the land spirit. Go, open the blessed land slightly, and let the GU master who resembles me in. Chapter 419 Fang Zheng's Pain. Chapter 419. Fang Zheng's Pain. Chapter 419. Fang Zheng's Pain. TNT Mountain stood high above the clouds, reaching 3,000 kilometers in total. It was situated at the center of Central Continent. It was the land of inheritances, the mountain of saints. During ancient times, it was the ladder of immortals, able to ascend to the heavenly court. Immortal Crane Sect's elite disciples were now standing at the foot of TNT Mountain, having waited for an hour already. How much longer do we need to wait? This Fang Yuan is putting up too much airs, right? SSH, quiet. He is the brother of Gu Fang Zheng, the owner of Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Speaking of that, this brother of Fang Zheng's is really amazing. He managed to defeat Feng Jinhuang, Shao Qi Xing, Ying Shengji and the others. So what, if I had a supreme elder supporting me in the dark, helping me to use fixed immortal travel GU, I would be able to win the Blessed Land as well. Our clan's elders are truly smart. Using Fang Zheng to attract their attention, while the real trump card was Fang Yuan all along. In order to make this a reality, Immortal Crane Sect lied to all their disciples. Immortal Crane Sect disciples now knew that there was someone named Gu Fang Yuan in their sect. During these 3 months, he had become the hottest topic that everyone was discussing. He was mysterious and low-key, it made people curious. Shocking the world in one move, he obtained Hu Immortal Blessed Land for Immortal Crane Sect, and even allowed Immortal Crane Sect to stand out among the 10 sects. It made the other disciples feel proud. All their discussions entered Fang Zheng's ears. Fang Zheng was stand at the front of these people, his gaze was dim as he looked at TNT Mountain. These days, he had been a walking corpse, he did not know how he survived the last few days. After Fang Zheng left Qingmao Mountain, he swore to exact revenge, to get justice for his deceased clansmen. He carried a great hatred with him, the objective of revenge was sustaining and motivating him to cultivate. He was more hard-working than all the other disciples, he did not even slack for a second. He had fantasized many times, the scene when he finds Fang Yuan, defeating him and making him kneel on the ground, repenting for all that he did on Qingmao Mountain. The clansmen in the afterlife would finally rest in peace after that. Thus, on Danghun Mountain, he did not give up despite numerous occasions of wanting to do so. Every time he thought of Fang Yuan, there would be a strong driving force in his heart, supporting him to continue climbing. He wanted to get Hu Immortal Inheritance, not only because he did not want to let his master down, or disappointing the clan's expectations, it was also because his chances of getting revenge would be much greater if he had the Blessed Land. But, he did not expect that life would come hitting him this hard and suddenly. Gu Fang Yuan, his blood-related brother, the main character of his numerous nightmares, appeared on the mountain top. Under everyone's view, he obtained the inheritance, even Gu Immortals could do nothing to him. Fang Zheng who failed returned to the sect. Shock. Pain. Loss. Fear. He knew the clan's lies, he knew the truth, but precisely so, the shadow in his heart grew by many times. This trauma had been nurturing in him since he was young. Why is brother so smart? But I am so stupid. Why was it that I cultivated so hard, yet I still lost to Fang Yuan? Why did this happen in southern border, and also in central continent? Is it true that I Gu Fang Zheng am destined to live in his shadow my entire life, never to surpass him? Every time Fang Zheng thought of this, there would be an indignant feeling in his heart, urging him to cultivate more. But this time, it was different. It was different. Thinking of the mission the clan just passed to him, Fang Zheng's body shuddered. The Blessed Land was in Fang Yuan's control. In order to obtain Hu Immortal Blessed Land, the sect was recruiting Fang Yuan. As long as he handed over the Blessed Land, he would be Immortal Crane Sect's elder. Central Continent sect members were classified from low to high as Outer Disciple, Inner Disciple, Elite Disciple, Legacy Disciple. Above disciples, there were sect elder, often at rank 4 cultivation, controlling the many aspects of the sect. Above sect elder was sect leader, he had to be at least rank 5 middle stage, and was the key person in charge. And above the clan leader, there were supreme elders. These supreme elders were all Gu Immortals, they were rarely seen during normal times, secluded in cultivation. Only when the sect faces a life and death situation, or when something important happens, they would appear and let the world know the true power of Immortal Crane Sect, as one of the top 10 sects. Since I joined Immortal Crane Sect, I had cultivated so diligently these years, from Outer Disciple, I became an Inner Disciple, and from Inner Disciple, I became an Elite Disciple. During the sect examination, I emerged as the top disciple of among the elite disciples. But now, Fang Yuan just has to say a word, and he would become a sect elder. Any disciple who sees him have to bow and pay respects. Fang Zheng felt a great pain in his heart every time he thought about this. If Fang Yuan really became an elder, he would have to bow and pay respects to this enemy every time he saw him. Was there fun in such a life? Was there meaning in living? Master, has all the effort and hard work I put in been in vain? At this point, Fang Zheng was standing at TNT mountain foot, waiting to meet Fang Yuan. He had unavoidably fallen into deep self-doubt. Lord Sky Crane quickly consoled him. Fang Zheng, you have to adjust your mindset. Immortal Crane sect sacrificed a lot for immortal inheritance, we even used an immortal GU. For the sect, we have to look at this from the big picture, and put down our personal grudges temporarily. Fang Zheng, you have to understand, it was Immortal Crane sect who nurtured you, now that the sect needs you make some sacrifices, you cannot forget your roots. Although he said that, Lord Sky Crane was sighing in his heart. He understood Fang Zheng's personality, thus his heart was even more worried. All along, the notion of revenge was driving Fang Zheng forward like a pillar, it was also his obsession in this cultivation journey. But now, the sect's orders were for Fang Zheng to let down this obsession, this was more fatal than any injury. Most likely, after suffering such an impact, Fang Zheng would no longer have any drive left, he would let himself dwell in self-pity. But what can we do? That is a blessed land, and it even contains a forbidden ground like Danghun Mountain. The guststones on the mountain can be used by our disciples and make our entire sect's strength surge. Other than that, Fang Yuan has Blood Skull GU and Fixed Immortal Travel GU on him. These things are way too valuable, they are so important, how can an elite disciple compare to them at all? Lord Sky Crane felt sad in his heart, but he still said to Fang Zheng, my good disciple, you have to control your desire for revenge. A little impatience spoils great plans, treat this as a trial of your endurance. After seeing your brother, do not attack. Within the blessed land, you are not his match. Saying so, Lord Sky Crane recalled what Feng Yang instructed him. I know the enmity between Fang Yuan and Fang Zheng. If needed, we can sacrifice Fang Zheng, you can negotiate in place of Fang Zheng. Feng Yang's pressure was great at the moment, all the supreme elders were looking at his actions. Master, you are telling me to treat this as a trial. I will try. Fang Zheng loosened his clenched fist, then clenched it again, he was struggling in his heart, he felt pain and anger. If someone swore to get revenge, and cultivated to succession, only to find that his enemy had died. That is pain. If someone swore to get revenge, and cultivated to succession, but found that he could not beat his enemy, and that his enemy was still living well. That is much greater pain. If someone swore to get revenge, and cultivated to succession, but found out that not only was he unable to beat his enemy, he even had to use a fake friendly attitude to negotiate with him, hoping the enemy would become his superior. This was the greatest pain of all pain. Fang Zheng, don't think much of it. Fang Yuan might not be having a good time, there is a calamity in the blessed land. You cannot imagine the might of a calamity. Even if your brother had an immortal GU, he is still immortal. Soon, he will experience the terrifying powers of an earthly calamity. By then, the blessed land will be full of loopholes, and he would have suffered a huge loss. You have a high chance of succeeding in this trip. Lord Sky Crane consoled him again. Fang Zheng heard this and his mood became slightly more relaxed. The earthly calamity is beginning. Feng Yang muttered, he had been staying behind the scenes. Firstly, it was to protect these elite disciples, secondly, it was to prevent the ill intentions of other GU masters, and thirdly, if Fang Yuan could not block this earthly calamity, he would have to help out. At this moment, he was starting at the spot where immortal blessed land was hiding in on TNT mountain, sensing that there was an aura of destruction. Soon, his lips curled into a smile as there was a peculiar sight on TNT mountain. Pieces after pieces of grassland appeared on TNT mountain. They were like clouds or fog, illusory and not real. How could there be a grassland on a mountain? This was the loophole of the blessed land, and a large loophole at that, allowing outsiders to see the scene inside the blessed land. Such a loophole could only fit GU worms, there was still some way to go before GU masters can go in. Lord Sky Crane at the other side had already called out. The loophole appeared, send the lightning symbol paper crane GU in. Fang Zheng gritted his teeth, under everyone's supervision, he injected primeval essence and activated the GU worm. Lightning symbol paper crane GU was fast as lightning, flying into the loophole. But right after, the grassland image turned into a lump of primeval essence, as it dissipated in the air. Lightning symbol paper crane GU flew for 2 rounds before flying back to Fang Zheng's hands. This Fang Yuan is giving up a portion of the blessed land, completely removing it. It seems he is worried that GU masters might entire when the loophole turns into a tunnel. He Feng Yang was slightly shocked, but sneered soon after. Go ahead, let's see how much land you can discard. Every piece of land you abandon is akin to giving up your own flesh. But immediately after, He Feng Yang's expression changed. He's still continuing. He's already thrown a few square kilometers worth of land. He is really bold, no wonder he managed to snatch the inheritance. But a few moments later, He Feng Yang's expression turned ugly. It seems that this earthly calamity is very dangerous this time. But how much land is he going to give up? He has already thrown tens of square kilometers of land away. This wastrel. Chapter 420 Meeting of Brothers. Chapter 420 Meeting of Brothers. On TNT Mountain, loopholes appeared one after another with increasing frequency. Not only were Immortal Crane's sex elite disciples watching carefully, many GU Immortals were also keeping watch behind the scenes. During this period, Fang Zheng tried 3 times, finally managing to send the lightning symbol paper crane GU into the Blessed Land. A green bird spread its wings and flew into the loopholes as well, reaching the Hu Immortal Blessed Land. This is a letter-sending green bird GU. What is Feng Zhuzhe trying to do? He Feng Yang saw this and his expression turned dark. But at the next moment, his pupils shrunk to pin size, his mouth opened wide as he shocked an extremely flabbergasted expression. My God, he's discarding such a big area of the Blessed Land. He Feng Yang was tongue-tied, he was stunned like a statue. Fang Yuan discarded 600 square kilometers worth of land. TNT Mountain Waste was full of the Blessed Land's projected image, grassland filled everyone's vision. A GU Immortal was the first to react, appearing with the flash of a sword. Ha ha ha, what a big piece of blessed land, it is mine, don't even think of snatching it from me. Jian Yisheng shouted, wanting to pull this piece of land into his blessed land, expanding his territory. But at this moment, a lightning flash appeared. FCK. Jian Yisheng was caught unguarded, he shouted profanities as the blue charm lightning shadow sent him flying like a cannonball. But Jian Yisheng was not to be trifled with, he immediately engaged in battle with blue charm lightning shadow. They created a huge commotion, the earth rumbled as Immortal Crane's sex elite disciples watched in shock. The more shocking thing was, over a dozen people appeared next, taking a piece of this 600 square kilometers land at lightning speed like a pack of hungry wolves. You goddamn bastards. I lured the monster away, I made the most effort, but you guys didn't even leave me a piece of the land. IFCK all your ancestors. I curse you all to have constipation, all your children will be born with a chicken's tail. Jian Yisheng shouted angrily, he had never suffered such a great loss in his life, getting thrashed by the blue charm lightning shadow so pathetically. And there is that little rascal Fang Yuan, he is really evil and daring, scheming against me like this. Fight me fairly if you have guts. He sent out the flying sword letter GU. Flying sword letter GU was extremely fast, it could tear through space, even without a loophole, it could enter the Blessed Land. Immortal Crane Sect's gang was in a daze. Was this the mannerism of a GU Immortal? This Jian Yisheng is a complete disgrace to us GU Immortals, He Feng Yang covered his face in shame. At this time, a bright white gold light appeared. There was a red door in the light, 30 meters tall, it had a rainbow-colored plaque. Pink-colored clouds gathered, as the rainbow light shone on Fang Zheng's body. In the blink of an eye, Fang Zheng vanished on the spot. Sending blue charm lightning shadow or the desolate beast swamp crab out of the Blessed Land was beyond little Hu Immortal's abilities. But to transport one Fang Zheng, it was easy. He got in. Seeing this, He Feng Yang's heart eased. A flash of lightning bolt descended from the sky, it was the blue charm lightning shadow. But the white gold light moved the red door away in time. By a hair's breadth, the blue charm lightning shadow's intention of entering the Blessed Land was thwarted. Fang Zheng felt his surroundings turn blur before he regained his sight, and the environment around him had changed completely. He was standing on a grassland, grass was all around him. There were clouds above him, extremely thick and dark clouds. Not far away, there are several lakes with ripples on the surface. I reached to Immortal Blessed Land. Fang Zheng quickly reacted, all his GU worms were sealed now, it was the same as during the competition. A smoky lump of shadow appeared before him, expanding into the size of a mirror. Fang Yuan's figure appeared in the mirror, he was sitting with his back leaning on the chair. He was crossing his right leg over his left leg as his left hand was placed on his knee, while his right hand was holding his chin softly on top of the chair handle. His black hair was casually hanging over his face as his eyes squinted, showing a lazy and casual demeanor, but also gave people a sense of danger, dark and mysterious. My cute little brother, to think I would see you again in Central Continent. Fang Yuan spoke. His voice was so foreign, yet so familiar to Fang Zheng. Fang Zheng's body shuddered, his eyes burst forth with intense rage as he growled, "Gu Fang Yuan, you crazy and hopeless demon, you murdered your entire clan. I will kill you personally." Saying so, he rushed towards Fang Yuan. But this, Fang Yuan, was only a projection from the smoke. After Fang Zheng charged towards it, it dissipated but quickly gathered back into a perfect image of Fang Yuan again. Fang Zheng pointed at Fang Yuan, shouting, "Fang Yuan, you don't even have the courage to face me. You coward, shameless traitor, you are an inhuman animal. So what if you died? To think that you murdered your entire clan just to preserve your life. Such an outrageous act, how could you do it? Are you still human?" He. Fang Yuan laughed heartily, casually leaning on his chair. "My cute little brother, you are still stupid as ever. Regardless of whether I did anything, they were going to die. If that is so, why can't I live? If not for my counterattack, do you think you would be brought back to Central Continent? In fact, I saved your life. I am your benefactor. Dog shit, you are distorting the truth, you are unbelievably shameless." Fang Zheng heard Fang Yuan's words, and was extremely angered by it. Fang Yuan's laughter came to a stop, he sighed, "Fang Zheng, my brother, you are a huge disappointment. All these years, you have not improved one bit. No matter how high your cultivation is, you are just a pawn piece. Alright, let's talk business. I've seen Immortal Crane Sect's letter, don't bother mentioning those ridiculous promises like making me an elder. We can however, go through with the transaction and deals." Fang Zheng's chest was moving up and down, his breathing was heavy as he stared at Fang Yuan's image with hatred. This pair of twins, they looked almost identical, and had closest blood relation in them. Unfortunately, they were life and death enemies. Fang Zheng took a few deep breaths, holding in his killing intent towards Fang Yuan, thinking of the clan's instructions, "Within Hu Immortal Blessed Land, our sect is not interested in the fox groups or Gu worms. But the gutstones on Danghun Mountain have some value. We will send disciples here by batches, you will bring them to Danghun Mountain." Stop. Before Fang Zheng finished speaking, he was interrupted by Fang Yuan, "I do not believe your Immortal Crane Sect's sincerity. This is what I want, prepare it for me as soon as possible, and hand it over to me. I do not have primeval stones, but I have the swamp crab's corpse to trade instead. The details are in the letter, go back and consider it." Once he finished speaking, a small lightning bolt flew and landed in Fang Zheng's hand. It was that lightning symbol paper crane Gu. This lightning symbol paper crane Gu had already been refined by Fang Yuan, and was now used by him. The contents included the Gu worms and materials Fang Yuan wanted, as well as details on the swamp crab's blood, meat, bones, and shell etc. Fang Zheng raised his head, and wanted to speak, but he saw the scene before him change, he had been transported out already. "Check around, are there any suspicious things?" After Fang Zheng left, Fang Yuan did not relax, but instead gave instructions to Land Spirit. The Blessed Land could not restrict Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan did not meet with Fang Zheng personally because he was worried about him bringing an Immortal Gu. Immortal Crane Sect had a lot of resources, they had quite a lot of Immortal Gu. Although Fang Zheng's aperture was not able to carry Immortal Gu, as the aura would easily leak, all sorts of things could happen in the Gu world, there were definitely methods to conceal an Immortal Gu's aura. Fang Yuan had to guard against this. The Land Spirit checked for a few times and there were no problems. At this point, Fang Yuan finally relaxed. After the earthly calamity, will the situation improve from here? Fang Yuan squinted his eyes, considering his current predicament. The current situation was way more advantageous for him than he expected. In order to devour Hu Immortal Blessed Land alone, Immortal Crane Sect shield him. Such guts, it was expected of one of the 10 great sects of Central Continent. Benefits above everything, enemies and friends were all built on this basis. Using common words, it was the foresight of a big picture. Restricted by the sect system, and under the pressure of the big picture, so what if Fang Zheng hated him? He still had to come over and discuss the transactions. Once they realized that they could not capture me so easily, that being forceful would just destroy everything, Immortal Crane Sect would naturally come to negotiate with me to make transactions. Even if outsiders find out, there would be no rumors of allying with the demonic path. That is because Immortal Crane Sect had already admitted that I am a part of their sect. It was a meticulous decision. But this is what I needed too. Even if this disciple identity is so fake, it is enough to drive away the other forces. Looking at Jian Yisheng and Feng Juji's letters, one can easily tell how precious this identity is. Fang Yuan thought about it, he did not mind this. The truth is, he is still in the demonic path, he is still alone, doing things his way, no one could restrict him. But at the same time, he could do transactions, and exchange for resources he needed. Originally, I wanted to go to Langya Blessed Land and snatch Connecting Heaven Gu. But now that I can deal with Immortal Crane Sect, I do not need to do that. Although, with who Immortal Blessed Land being in my possession, Immortal Crane Sect would not let this go, they are making deals at this point because of wariness and that they have no choice for now. I cannot be careless and give them a weakness to exploit. Fang Yuan reminded himself. As for his brother Fang Zheng, that was secondary. Killing him would only be for the blood skull Gu, to raise the aperture's aptitude by a little. The problem it would bring is making an enemy out of Immortal Crane Sect, and putting himself into grave danger. Killing his own brother is a pure demonic act. If outsiders find out, it would be interpreted as Fang Yuan betraying Immortal Crane Sect. At that point, the 10 sects and numerous demonic Gu immortals would place their greedy gazes towards who Immortal Blessed Land. There is no such thing as an absolute secret. Once the matter is exposed, even if Immortal Crane Sect wanted to continue acting, they would not be able to. Fang Yuan's current situation was, raising aptitude was less important than his other objectives. Even if his aptitude was raised, he still needed resources to cultivate. The most important point now was to stabilize the situation and make full use of the Blessed Land's resources to convert them into his own strength.